Oh, and then of course I forget the blooming window. Behind the scenes. I was 99% there. Welcome everybody to the official renaming debut of Pop the Question, the Q&A session with you crazy people in chat. I am your hostess with the mostest, and something that else rhymes with est, Ernest. Oh no, I'm getting flashbacks. Ashley, joining me as ever to go through all your stuff is AJ.
Yep.
And Chris.
Here.
Beulah. So yeah, I don't know where to start with. I guess no, I can bring up Bry's things first, just jumping a bit of order. But yeah, rest in peace to Angela Lansbury and Robbie Coltrane. What a crazy! I think that was 48 hours. I think.
Yeah, I'm starting to regret some of the verses that I've done because I feel like I'm kind of being an angel of death because I did the Manchurian Candidate,
Yeah.
and of course we lost Angela Lansbury, and we also lost Henry Silva shortly before her, who also had a major part in that, and we also lost the lead of the original Assault on Precinct 13, like in the last week or so.
Oh wow.
So sorry about that.
I think it's very fitting that Robbie Coltrane's last thing that he filmed was the Harry Potter special.
Yeah. Those words that are in it. I saw somebody put it on Twitter because I couldn't be bothered to watch it because I don't have HBO Max. I paid for it. I was an idiot to pay for it because I thought, like, might as well. It's got Robbie Coltrane in it, and then I realised, oh great, I've just given a certain author some more money despite her views. But then there's loads of other people, but whatever. Yeah, of course, like over here, like Angela Lansbury, I guess, would probably be most known for, other than like Murder She Wrote, is maybe like Bedknobs and Broomsticks and things like that. You know, the role that launched her career, Gaslight, was an American remake of a British film.
Yeah, the thing that always blew my mind was just how long she'd been around, because it was one of those cases where you just, after a while, you just convince yourself they're going to be around forever.
Yeah.
And it was like thinking back to, this was a person that was still around, and she got her first Oscar nomination in 1944.
And we'll be seeing her in, what, 2 months? For Glass Onion.
Yeah.
That I think is her last film. I don't think she's filmed anything else. And then yeah,
That's pretty fitting considering Murder She Wrote.
Yeah, well, she is herself, so I'm guessing it's probably going to be something tongue-in-cheek, probably relating to it.
Didn't I hear Sondheim is also posthumously in it?
They are together, I think. Whether it's like a Sweeney Todd related thing, it would make sense.
So wow, so with that and Tick Tick Boom, Netflix was really all over the posthumous Sondheim stuff.
I saw something that somebody posted the other day, and Ashley, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Somebody referred to Robbie Coltrane as Britain's John Candy.
Ooh. That's tough because Candy did very little serious sort of stuff. It was always sort of light-hearted stuff because I don't think Cracker, for most part, is light-hearted. And that went for about 20-something episodes, but of course, because they're both, well, some of them were 3 parts, so I guess if you put them together, they'd probably be about 2.5 hours long. So they might qualify for movie club if you just watched it all in one go, sort of thing. But, you know, even his last major role that he did, National Treasure, not that one, Chris. Especially not that one, because it was basically following on from the Jimmy Savile, which, if you've seen the Netflix documentary, it was supposed to be like a celebrity from the 60s or 70s that was being accused of historical paedophile and sexual assault allegations. It's a very sort of fascinating 4-part drama that Channel 4 commissioned. But like outside of that, he didn't. You know, it's a shame he didn't do that much on the big screen. I mean, there was like the sort of like Nuns on the Run and like weird crap like that. But then, you know, arguably his 2 biggest roles was the henchman and then, I guess, ally in Zukovsky, as it turned out from Goldeneye to World Is Not Enough. And then Hagrid, which Her Who Must Not Be Named did imagine to basically play Hagrid. Which, when you think about it, in that respect, it was excellent casting. But yeah, he certainly started his comedic starts with like the Young Ones and the comic strip stuff. You know, it was always sort of there. I certainly see the similarities to Candy, but Candy never really got the chance to do a lot of serious stuff. There was maybe a couple of films. Whereas, I mean,
the only one that comes to mind for me is JFK.
Yeah, because he won the BAFTA Television Award for Best Actor 3 years in a row, which I don't think has happened since, and barely an actor gets nominated for. I guess it was just that they had the chance to actually have the series come out in consecutive years and whatever. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to like catching up on. I've bought the box set of like all the Cracker episodes. I'm just waiting for it to come from wherever it's been dispatched from, and catch up on that at some point. And then probably on Angela Lansbury. Probably Manchurian Candidate, to be fair. Although I am intrigued by Gaslight. Maybe that's what needs to be in a remake versus original versus at some point. AJ?
Well, I did the Gaslight with her with Rebecca a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So I guess that rules it out. But yeah, start off with that with like our thoughts on that. So next up, Spencer. Hey guys, did any of you watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? Top 3 favorite episodes. I love the Tale of the Dark music, the Tale of the Shiny Red Bicycle, and the Tale of the Midnight Madness. I vaguely remember episodes being on, but I don't remember them because it was at the same time as sort of, I think like those were on the ITV channel, and then BBC had like Goosebumps. So it was like a case of like, you were spoilt for choice for kids' books into 22-minute episodes.
Yeah, that was weird because it was like to me it sort of felt like you would think Goosebumps would be the bigger one because of the book series. But as far as the TV series, it did feel like the Haunted Mask double episode of Goosebumps is better than any Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. But then every other Goosebumps episode is worse than any Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. But yeah, we watched it all the time. I was laughing, brother, because You know where I'm going with this. Is the dark music the one that's in the basement?
Yes,
The one that we quote all the time?
I think so.
There was that one. I remember loving a lot of the really early episodes, like the Twisted Claw that was like the Monkey's Paw episode, and Laughing in the Dark, the one with the clown at the fair where he took his nose.
Zebo.
Yes. I think we mentioned before the shiny red bicycle is the one that always scared the shit out of me, which seems so basic because it's just a ghost kid, but like we said,
I
ghost
think
kid.
the shiny red bicycle episode might be where my fear of ghost children comes from.
It could be, and the funny thing is, he's not even necessarily a child; he's like a teenager, but it's still the same vibe.
Yeah, I like the one. I like the ones that Spencer mentioned, especially I like the Midnight Madness one as well. The guy that got to play the vampire is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I like what was the station? Station 109, the one with Ryan Gosling and Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
That's a good one. What else is a good one? I just rewatched these within the last year, at least the first 4 seasons because they're on Paramount Plus.
I think my favorite episode might be the Prom Queen.
That's a good one. The one with the creepy car playing the music.
Yeah, where nowadays it's stock music, but the original episode it's in the still of the night.
Yeah.
Just looking into it, I noticed that there was a revival a few years back. Have you seen any of those episodes, or?
I watched the first season of it. It's more about the Midnight Society itself. I couldn't get into it as much.
Yeah. Also, it's sort of like, looking at the other ones being 13 episodes, it does feel like the revivals are just sort of mini-series esque.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The one that was last year was 6 episodes, but the one from 2019 and the one that only just aired a few months back were only 3-part episode things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's probably Doctor Who continuity, where it's like they all link together rather than just presented, as like solo stories to some extent.
I'm just a big anthology story person. I love anthology stories, so stuff like I'm gonna gravitate more to the original because it is more of anthology stories, whereas the revival is more of a Midnight Society story. And honestly, the Midnight Society is okay, but I mean, I'd rather watch Dr. Vink and Sardo.
The Frank
Pinball
Ocean
one's good
episode.
too.
What's that?
The not the pinball. It's the one. Oh shoot. It's the one where the climax happens at a mall.
Yeah, that was the pinball one, wasn't it?
The pinball one. Okay, then yeah. Is that the one that Vink and Sardo were in, or was that no? That was the Pirate's Treasure. Never mind. The one where Charles S. Dutton's the pirate. I told you I just rewatched these last year.
The Frank Gorshin one always stood out to me.
I remember his name Septimus because while I was watching it, I was like, that sounds awful close to septic.
Yeah. There was I know the episode that got like all of the love and admiration was Dead Man's Float, and I never got what the big deal with that one was. But don't look into his mouth.
No, I just gotta there he goes. He didn't want to stand the fuck back up. But yeah, I guess to answer Spencer's question, yes, we saw Are You Afraid of the Dark and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Some of it.
Well, even the bad episodes, we could always find something to make fun of, like one of the child actors or like how they decided to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, another one that's really good is the comic book that comes to life. That's a good one too. The Ghastly Grinner. That's what it is.
Yeah, is that I was trying to remember.
It's like Nickelodeon's version of the Joker jumping out of the comics.
Yeah.
Considering like that she moved on to 24, how was Alicia Cuthbert's performance like 3 or 4 years before in the first revival from like 99 2000 time? Because that would have been what 24 would have been 2002, so it would a couple of 2-3 years before.
Would that have been the one where the Midnight Society like went into like a haunted house or something? Like it was the original Midnight Society, but they went into like a haunted house or something.
Was that the one that was like a 3-part finale, kind of like when the initial show was like it was like the initial show's ending?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
First one was the
The-
Tale of the Forever game.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Life or Death board game. Oh wow, we are stealing ideas from Doctor Who.
And Jumanji.
Yeah, but Celestial Toymaker was about 3. Wow. Jumanji was based on a book, right? So I guess it depends on how old the book is.
I think it's pretty old.
Yeah. If it's before 63, then we're good. Or 64, 65. Then again, it's a lost episode, so we only have one episode. Speaking of games,
my Discord app crashed. Did you guys even notice that I'd fallen off?
wow.
Your like yellow screen came up.
Yeah, my Discord app on my phone crashed.
Speaking of games, Spencer says I've just watched the Saw franchise versus. What's your Saw rankings from best to worst, including Jigsaw and Spiral?
You know what I'm laughing about?
Stymie.
Yeah.
We had before we ranked the Saws, just to explain what just happened. We were just having this stupid conversation one day where it was like, who are the most outlandish people who have the funniest names that would be stuck in a Saw trap that Jigsaw would have to say by name? And and I think one of our first options was Stymie from the Little Rascals, and we just thought it'd be funny to hear Jigsaw say, "You have to do it."
Hello, Stymie. I've come to play a game.
And I think it's also
to be fair, there is also another contestant, the former UN Secretary General. Hello, Boutros Ghali.
So, with all that said, obviously the first one's at the top. I think that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna try to go from bottom to top. I want to say, I think the next best one after 1 would be 6.
Yeah.
Probably.
I was gonna say between that and 2, we're probably you know up there. 5 was pretty good as well. I know the worst was 7.
Yeah, the 3D.
Because it was way too. Whoa! Look, it's 3D. That everything did in the early 2010s.
and they made.
Cracked. Did you tell the Stymie story?
Yes.
I was wondering where you went. It was like you were supposed to.
My app crashed again, so I restarted my phone to see if that helps.
Okay.
All right, you're gonna have to go back when this is over because Ashley did a perfect.
Hello, Stymie. Hello, Boutros Ghali. Hello, Commandos. The game is on.
I haven't seen it since it came out, but I was still going through my feelings on Spiral, because I feel like Spiral is subpar, but I also, like, in retrospect, I started to like it more, but I haven't rewatched it yet.
Yeah, I'd still say that and Jigsaw were probably mid-tier. And then probably 3 and 4 being the next lowest.
Yeah, I remember 4 not being great.
4 was the last one I saw. I haven't seen 8 since 4. So I don't even know that Donnie Wahlberg's alive again.
I don't think Donnie Wahlberg can come back from that.
Unless we get more prequels.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I did see. I don't know if I saw the whole movie, but I remember like Donnie Wahlberg's head getting smashed with ice.
That's 4.
Oh, that is 4. Okay, so that's okay. So I did know he was back for a minute. I still haven't seen past that.
Like when we get in the middle, they really just kind of bleed together. So it's kind of hard to, because I feel like most of them. Did we lose them again?
I'm just trying to work out where that came from. There's weird stuff going on in the chat, which might mean we might need to have a word. Bryce says the last 2010 catch-ups I watched were Burton's Alice in Wonderland, and I had to watch the original animated one for the first time before I went into Burton's film. I'm intrigued to see what you like, how you feel with the comparison there, Bry. Also, Bry has seen Beginners, The Gatekeepers, and Winter on Fire, Ukraine's Fight for Freedom, because I believe, sort of akin to what happened with Trial of Chicago 6 and all that, Netflix have put it up for free on their YouTube channel. Sticking with the horror theme, Spencer says, if you have to make a 3-film franchise to either Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th, what new ideas would you bring in, or would you attempt to work into 3 films?
I would have Jason attack a train. Like I would have like a murder mystery train. I don't know why I just popped this in my head all of a sudden. I would do a murder mystery train where like there's the fake murder, but then real murders start happening, and it's Jason, but nobody really knows it's Jason till towards the end.
That's interesting.
For Freddy Krueger, I would have a like Dreamland theme park where all the rides are some iteration of Freddy and try to kill you.
So trying to, when you go the park route, try not to be like Hellfest or anything like that. We wouldn't want another one of those.
No, but the reveal of Freddy himself would be in a room like Zebo, where like you choose a door and he's behind one of the doors. How's that for off the top of my head?
Yeah, because I could see something like the climax of Dream Warriors kind of being an homage to that in a certain way, like with visuals.
Mm-hmm. But that just covers 2 movies. If we were doing a 3-part series, I'd need a little more time to come up with 3 ideas.
And of course, the problem is, as we saw with Halloween Ends, it can't end. Here's a trilogy which is inevitably going to be 74 films, whether you like it or not. That's the problem. If you wanted to like start afresh, it's such an interesting. There's such interesting characters, Jason and Freddy, that somebody's immediately going to go, so can we find a way to make a 4th film? And that's always the problem when you have something too lucrative. he finds some way to get around it and try and make it into a franchise. And then franchise usually go to crap in the end. Because there's obviously really weak points in Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I guess in terms of like new ideas, the only stuff with like Nightmare on Elm Street is I wonder whether, I don't want to say Ring-esque with the videotape, but like actually include like sort of like maybe Unfriended like style, like have it sort of like be Zoom or, you know, FaceTime sort of related, things like that.
That'd be interesting. I don't really have much to contribute to this because I'm terrible at doing this off the top of my head.
Yeah. I guess the Friday the 13th would be more like go with the first one and with it actually sort of being Pamela that's doing all the killings rather than Jason. But then like Jason actually sort of like goes for revenge in the second one, but in doing so probably does something wrong himself. And then like the for the finale is sort of like who wins out in the end, and eventually sort of Jason atones for what his mother did, you know, thinking it would sort of make him a good boy when actually it turned him into just as bad as her, sort of thing. Maybe something like along those lines, because I think that's why the first film works, is because you think it's, if you watch having known of Jason Voorhees, you think that that's why that one still works. If you come in blind and you think it's Hockey Mask person when it actually isn't.
Yeah, it's almost like they
maybe only bring the Hockey Mask part of him out for the final part, like build to it.
It's like the sequels accidentally enhance the first movie with giving audiences that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I have another Freddy idea. You could have somebody that falls asleep in front of the TV, and then you have something similar to Stay Tuned, where Freddy pops up in every show.
Was that? I want to say something like that happened in Freddy's Dead. Does that sound right?
I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Because you had the Johnny Depp cameo, and you had I feel like that's blending together with the video game scene with Breckin Meyer in my head, but yeah, doing like a whole thing surrounding that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it also sets up like the futility of a Friday trilogy when you look at the 2009 remake, and the 2009 remake was able to condense basically the first 3 Friday movies into just the opening scene of the remake. It shows you just how simple everything is.
I would also, for a second idea for Jake,
dancing.
I would have him run roughshod on a trailer park that just opened adjacent to Camp Crystal Lake.
As long as we keep Corey Feldman's dancing, that's all I care.
You mean Crispin Glover's dancing?
Oh yeah, Corey was the kid, right? I forget things.
Tommy Jarvis.
Bryce says, after seeing Beginners, Branagh should have got Best Supporting Actor for My Week with Marilyn. As much as I love Nick Nolte and Warrior. Wow.
I'd probably say the same thing, but that's only because they snubbed Albert Brooks for a reason I still don't know.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. Okay, so Spencer's got another one of his Oscar runners-up and third place games. So, to 2000 costume design. Obviously won by Gladiator, but the other four were 102 Dalmatians, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Quills. Wow, that goes all over the place.
So the question is, who came in second? Probably.
Yeah.
I would say Crouching Tiger.
Is this personal or what we think?
I mean, either. I'm not sure.
Personal. I know a lot of people don't like it for different reasons, but I don't think The Grinch gets its due for stuff like costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 102 Dalmatians wasn't as good as 101, and I don't think even that got nominated that year.
I didn't realize that 102 Dalmatians would have been eligible. I thought it was straight to video.
Yeah, because isn't 102 Dalmatians like very fashion oriented in its plot?
Yeah,
I just remember
it's Cruella before Cruella existed.
The only thing that I remember, I've only seen 102 Dalmatians once, and it was on a bus on our 6th grade field trip. And the only image I remember is Gerard Depardieu walking down a runway. And the reason that especially stood out to me is because I was sitting next to the school nurse, and she knew who Gerard Depardieu was and like fanned out when she saw him. And I think that's my only memory of that whole movie.
It opened Thanksgiving 2000. Behind third in the charts behind Unbreakable and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And then came out on VHS and DVD April 2001. So it did get a cinema release. But you probably didn't see much of it because, one, it got such bad reviews, and two, other films were out at that time.
Yeah, everybody was probably so. I remember The Grinch kind of being all-consuming when it came out.
I remember going to school on the bus, and they were just opening the new, what would have been Warner Cinema, before it became View. Like, we're talking 22 years ago, and it was just metal sheets where they were still like doing all the building work, and I just saw posters all the time over that autumn winter period for either How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Sixth Day. just endlessly Arnold Schwarzenegger with his weird like what is this?
I would say the realistic second place. AJ, you said Crouching Tiger, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think I would put Crouching Tiger third. I think they might have given it to Quill second.
That's possible.
There's a chance
because they do love their period costumes.
So that's a pretty good and like spread out lineup.
I'm trying to see if there's a Costume Designers Guild Award from that year, so we can see whether they agreed. List of it goes to it goes from 99, so we're just about there. Contemporary went to, would that have been Erin Brockovich? No, that would have been the films from 99, so I think no. I'm trying to look to see if there's any names where I can like. Oh no, there we go. 2000 period film went to How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Contemporary went to Erin Brockovich, and fantasy went to fantasy didn't start until 2005. So if we're going on the guild, it probably would have been Grinch.
I'm trying to figure out how the Grinch qualifies as period.
From 99 to 2000 Ward, period and fantasy was the same thing.
Okay.
That's why you get Sleepy Hollow, and then How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone, and Chicago, and Lord of the Rings, and Lemony Snicket before it's spun off into its own thing. Right, getting back to the list.
Either way, according to the Academy, Joaquin Phoenix was rocking a couple good costumes that year.
Best sound. So Gladiator won. The other nominees that year were Castaway, The Patriot, The Perfect Storm, and U-571. I'm tempted to say Perfect Storm.
That's where I was going.
I'll be 100% honest. I'm not sure what they're looking for when they nominate that. Is it just like sound effects?
I think so. It's different to sound editing, which was U-571 with the only other nominee being Space Cowboys. So...
Because isn't it... editing is like the Foley stuff, and mixing is like just everything. Because I was thinking I'd heard the way the score comes in with the sound also was part of mixing.
Could be.
I love that just nobody could get that figured out enough that they just combine them again.
Just like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Perfect Storm is always those like what it was always that choice of like, here's what DVD can do to your television when they were trying to push it in 2001 and 2002. It was just like, get the surround sound, you know, for Ronin, for Perfect Storm. Trying to think one of the other ones. Maybe Twister, but that would have been like visual sort of stuff. It was always those sorts of things that they try and show you as a, you know, look how impressive this is sort of thing. That's why I'd go with Perfect Storm, probably.
I remember the Phantom Menace being used a lot for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
I specifically remember going into like multiple electronic stores around that 99, 2000, 2001 area, and they were always playing the Darth Maul fight scene.
Can somebody stop playing Duel of the Fates, please? It's getting annoying. Keep every kid going to the Darth Maul
I want to see
toy.
a store employee go on the rant about Duel of the Fates that Paul Rudd went on with Michael McDonald.
Plus, I would think, yeah, that's definitely the scene to show off. But if you want to show off like sound or something, I would show off the pod race scene. But maybe that's just me. Uh-oh.
I was muted.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Because I wasn't looking at my screen, so I was just like, I wonder if somebody's gonna say something.
I was yelling at Lenny.
There we go. I'm gonna have to switch those about in the back of the thing. But then if it is that USB socket, then everything else will go weird instead. So catch 22. So yeah, supporting actress. Marcia Gay Harden won for Pollock. The other nominees were Judi Dench for Chocolat, Kate Hudson for Almost Famous, Frances McDormand for Almost Famous, and Julie Walters for Billy Elliot.
I was trying to remember what the lead-in was. I know Hudson got the Globe. If I had to guess on the top of my head, I would say Walters got BAFTA, but I do not know this for sure.
I'm trying to see, what would it be?
Because
2000 and film. There we go. That
Because
will
Jamie
tell me.
Bell won a BAFTA, didn't he?
I'd have
For
thought so.
leading.
Hang on. Awards. Tell me who won. So for supporting actress, uh, the Globe went to Hudson. The Critics' Choice went to McDormand because it was for Almost Famous and Wonder Boys.
Mm.
Julie Julie won the BAFTA. Judi Dench won the SAG, and Gay Harden won the Oscar. They all won something.
Oh man, that year would have driven you nuts.
That's close, not quite, but that's close to what happened to supporting actor in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like AJ would have got it by accident by going, well, Harden's the only one that hasn't won anything, so she'd probably win the Oscar.
Yeah, it was probably like something everybody was joking about at the time, like, huh, and if
Man,
I had to guess, well,
I wish it would go back to being that interesting. It kind of sucks when the race is decided in November.
we've had some 2020's actress race was pretty intense. I would say, if I had to guess, I would probably, because Dench would have been just fresh off of her win. So I would probably say Walters was probably the one that was headed for it. Though, I don't know, Hudson really did. Hudson and Almost Famous is kind of iconic. And I feel like was kind of instantly iconic.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
do like
the Academy loves them some Frances McDormand, though.
It's grown more with
Yeah.
time. Hudson's. It'd be close between her and Walters, I would say.
Yeah, because we do know they love going for younger actresses.
And then,
I would say it's narrowed down to Hudson and Walters at least. I'm assuming we're in agreement.
I still think you can't count out McDormand.
In retrospect, it still kind of weirds me out that she got like no recognition whatsoever from Macbeth. It's really weird. Unless they're finally burned out. She has 4 Oscars now. It's like maybe they're finally burned out. God, it's weird how we've been watching that play out and it all makes sense, but it's still a weird thing to say. She has not only does she have 4 wins, but her 3 that are for acting are all in leading.
yeah.
That's insane. That is insane.
So where do you rank her between Streep and Hepburn then?
As far as my personal opinion?
Yeah. Like, how would you? Because those 3 are the most winning women, correct?
Yeah.
I think so.
So how would you order them based on who you prefer, or who do you think you enjoy their performances more? I guess.
First off, I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to remember if Hepburn had 3 or 4.
I was thinking it was 4.
Yeah, because there's her first one. Yes, it is 4. It's her first one, Morning Glory, I think, and then Lion in Winter, where she tied with Streisand. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and fucking On Golden Pond.
So how would you rank those 3 then? I feel like McDormand has almost an advantage because she does so much Cohen stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love. I know it's popular to say that Streep is overrated, but I really don't think so. I love Streep.
Part of me feels that Hepburn is underrated. Because if you look at the fact that, like, all those other things, like, Philadelphia Story and Woman of the Year and African Queen, where she was nominated but didn't win, despite those being sort of like just as iconic roles. You know, we just got Morning Glory in like the 30s, and then her next win is 1967, implying that like she did nothing for 30 years, which is by far not what happened.
I think that's another thing that helps too is all three of these women exceed in like all genres.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first thing I went to was how good they all were at comedy. You know, a performance that gets really overshadowed by the other performances in it is McDormand's comedic presence is amazing in Burn After Reading, and I feel like she gets overshadowed by Pitt and Malkovich. Like just the scenes where she's on the phone trying to get through to an agent, and it's just her on a phone talking to nobody, and it's hilarious. It's some of the funniest stuff in the movie, and the movie itself is hilarious. But I would say I gravitate towards Streep the most. As far as what I guess that I can say where I can't really say anything objective. It's just who I gravitate towards the most. It would be Streep, then McDormand, and then Hepburn. But that doesn't really say that I think one is miles better than the other because they're all just kind of there together.
Yeah, it's close between the three of them, I'd say. We also randomly jumped now to 2003 for Spencer's last thing. Best editing in 2003. One by Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The other four being City of God, Cold Mountain, Master and Commander, and Seabiscuit.
The only one of those I saw was Master and Commander.
So I don't have anything against any of those movies, but apart from City of God, that's a pretty fucking boring lineup.
Yeah. I was gonna say City of God would be like second easily, just because obviously there'd be a lot of editing because it's very sort of fast paced and sort of like very. I don't want to credit it to Paul Greengrass, but that's where everybody first realised that shaky cam was a good thing with Bourne Supremacy.
There's a reason that me and AJ call him Paul Greengrass.
I love that you can actually do that. You're actually holding a camera.
The joke can sell itself now.
Is that the first time you've gotten to do it for real?
Yeah. What a great time to bust it out too.
And by the way, I especially love Cold Mountain. Like that is a great movie, but I don't know if editing is something that stands out to it with me. Because
what else did you put in there that came out in 2003?
Kill Bill 1.
Okay.
For starters. Because that's the thing. Also,
I wasn't meaning to ask that like I didn't think there were more options. I knew there were more options. I just couldn't think of what they were.
Well, the thing also to take into account is like how many things go into editing. Because a lot of people just look at like you have those idiots. I think CinemaSin started this shit. The idiots that say like, why would Titanic win editing when it's over 3 hours? And it's like, do you have no idea what editing actually is? But it's like, you can look at it the way it's cut together like a Scorsese movie, and how the way it can make something feel really fast and be like flashy, or like an Edgar Wright movie. But also just pacing in general comes from editing. Like if you're watching a movie that doesn't feel flashy, but it feels like really, really fast paced, that's something to take into account also. So it's like I feel like, I don't know, because that's the thing also is I was gonna say it doesn't even necessarily have to feel fast paced, but it feel like when a movie is also deliberately paced, like when a movie feels its length, but it's also a movie that excels because it feels its length, like something like The Revenant or something.
Internet derping.
I would throw Big Fish in there.
Yeah.
Because I like some of the seamless transitions when they jump time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. transition to John Goodman as a log.
Oh God, what's happened?
Hang on, I need to press that. No, press that. Press that. I'll do that. I got a message on Facebook. Attention, man. Doing a quick run in or something. Is Owen?
Not really a quick run in.
Well, it's a run in of some sort.
Yeah, I kind of just got out of Barbarian, and I wanted to clear my thoughts.
I've heard things.
It's good. It's real good.
We're not getting it for I think a month.
And AJ, something you did say the other day, I definitely want to reiterate, so the folks that are watching this right now or listening to us can hear, and it's forever where people can hear it. Justin Long does make horror movies.
Yes. He's like he's like a horror movie golden child.
I just love I mean, not to spoil anything, but I love the fact that the first thing he cared about, he didn't care about what was in the house. He didn't even think about what was in the house. He was like, ooh, let's get more square footage so I can get this house to mean more monetarily, so I can get more money for it.
Oh, it's actually coming out over here on Halloween weekend, along with Bros. I know that one of my local multiplexes is doing an early Thursday screening for Pray for the Devil, which I guess is Lionsgate's horror thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe doing something else, but I can't be bothered to look now.
I guess it's also worth noting that I learned something today.
What is that?
Regal's doing another secret screening on November 7th.
They are. I just saw an advertisement for it.
And I've noticed that apparently the Greatest Beer Run Ever didn't leave too much of an impression because we're in a significantly smaller auditorium now.
What should be a significantly bigger movie?
Well, it's the clue is that it's PG-13 now. So everybody's back on the Glass Onion train, which will be amazing, but I'm still not convinced.
Sure. So yeah, speaking of the weird thing about, I mean, I don't know how many people in the chat or how many people, I have no access to chat right now. I'm literally just laying on my bed right now, just trying to recover from this week. I will say right now, I probably shouldn't even have went out today, but I did anyway, because God knows when Barbarian was going to leave.
I'm just trying to work. I'm disclosing this now, even though it's been retracted from the thing. I'm trying to work out why horsedick.jpg got put in chat.
.mpeg.
Oh.
You were talking about John Kramer's Saw voice, and I wanted to hear you say, hello, MPEG.
What's this website? Meatspin.com. I don't know. Oh, shit.
And then that stuff's on Twitter now. Forget that noise. No. And found the TikTok. We should have buried that in the 2000s. I don't advocate any of that garbage. I will say right now, the one thing that I didn't got a chance to watch your Barbarian interview yet, AJ, but I want to have a nice little conversation about that, actually, without spoiling any.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably when we're off camera, because I'm more than willing to have a spoilery conversation about Barbarian.
Heck yeah, I'm totally good with that. I do have a live Major Wrestling Figure podcast recording to listen to tonight, so I probably will call you tomorrow, and we'll get that taken care of. But yeah, I got to watch Barbarian today. Whenever I see movies like Barbarian, I kind of wince a little bit, and not in the way that they want me to. I don't like movies that are forced upon me. I never have. And I felt like the way that it was being promoted, Barbarian was being promoted as being forced on me. But I'm glad that you gave me the Iggy about it, because if you didn't, I never would have watched it, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, I went Ben Stiller on you in that email.
I did. I was not expecting what happened to happen. I did kind of like spoil it somewhat, but I didn't understand. It's funny because I spoiled it, but I didn't understand when I was spoiling, and then when I actually watched it, I was like, "That's what it is." Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So the whole story can be summed up by the end credit song.
Yeah. Well, I want to know more about the beginning. I want to know more about the guy's beginning.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more of that backstory. And I felt that we were going to go there, but I felt that when we went there, they gave us a little bit just to whet our appetite, because this wasn't that type of movie. But I love the way that his scenes were shot. Like, we were literally a voyeur just watching him like go through and do these things. I am being extremely vague, but I think I'm doing very well. Another thing, I shout out to SoCalHorror.net, a great website. It's for horror needs. Also got theme park related information, things like that. Ran by one of my best friends, Troy, and his awesome team. I did my first movie review on his website. You can actually check that out. I was able to watch When the Screaming Starts the other day.
I mean, one more thing I want to throw out there, with all these recommendations for Barbarian being thrown out.
Yes.
Just in time for like your horror movie marathons or whatever. Apparently, the 25th, as in a week from now, Barbarian will be on HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm not an advocate of streaming at all, but I will say at the end of the day, yeah, watch it. If you haven't seen it yet and you are a horror fan, watch it. Seriously.
Yeah, I did make a mistake in the video because I said it's between Barbarian and Bodies for my favorite horror movie of the year. But when I said that, I completely forgot about Nope in the moment. Which might be the actual answer, but just all three of those definitely.
I think Barbarian is ooh. Well, I didn't like Bodies, and when I see all these light up gimmicks that people are wearing come through my house all the time, it makes me like the movie even less. Needless to say, and I want to scare them even harder. The thing is, at the end of the day, I think if it's for me, Nope would probably be like head and shoulders above everything else, and then I would have to go Barbarian, but just barely edging out the Ty West movies.
Yeah. What's funny, the same day I think Barbarian's going to HBO Max is the day that Nope comes out on Blu-ray. So I'll have to do like a back-to-back watching and decide.
Another thing I got to watch too is something that Ashley was able to kind of like poke fun at the last couple shows ago. Was Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I mean, I'm its target audience, weirdly enough. I'm a Shawn Mendes fan who remembers the book, who knows the actors that are involved, who loves Pasek and Paul, and wants to see it all rolled into one.
When I saw the posters and like the banner ads, the only thing I could think of was it just being like the quality of the Clifford movie, which isn't promising.
I can't really like compare it to anything. I mean, I would say the music's great because just like in the books, Lyle never talks; he just sings, which is great. And I love the way everything was done and everything. It is kind of interesting to see how well it's New York, so walking around with a 6-foot crocodile, I don't think anybody's going to pay attention, especially wearing Florida Gators colors. But still. Music's really good. Especially since I'm a fan of both Pasek and Paul as well as Shawn Mendes. So, and Mendes is good in it. It kind of reminds me of kind of like the Sing route, honestly, but not animated.
Is Top of the World the best song consideration? I'm trying to look through the soundtrack. And
Top of the World's definitely it's definitely got Oscar nomination written all over it. But we could go La La Land and we could nominate something else from the movie. Like, you know how obviously the Oscar nomination should have went to like Another Day of Sun or Audition, or there's a lot of things that it should have went to, but it went to City of Stars because that was obviously the popular one, and that's coming from the La La Land mark on here that still won't admit what happened or what didn't happen. Needless to say, I will say that just as long as there is a song nominated for this movie from this movie for the Oscars this year, I'm going to be happy. I do not see any way we live in a world where Shawn Mendes doesn't have that Oscar stage at least once. They're solid songs too, especially if you're a Mendes fan. Feels very La La Land. I definitely get that vibe a little bit from the way the music sounds. It feels very Broadway. It feels like at some points it needs to be more of a musical instead of just having musical interludes in it. But Bardem's great in it, by the way.
It's maybe not a fair comparison, but I've just noticed, because apparently they do update the UK box office charts on a Monday night, so Lyle Lyle Crocodile, admittedly being a family film, actually outdid Halloween in terms of release this week.
I'm not terribly surprised.
Then
You want to talk about the
Halloween being 15 getting 2 million to Lyle Lyle Crocodile's family audience, so more tickets are bought for 2.7. It's probably in or around the same.
And there's that brings in the whole streaming debate too.
Well, that's the advantage of the UK. We don't have streaming. There is no such thing as Peacock. We have to wait, and then it's the premium on demand, like £20 rental, and then it goes, eventually, to like purchase digitally.
A lot of comments I saw were that people went to see Halloween Ends in theaters because they didn't know it was streaming, and they were pissed when they found out they could have stayed home.
No, clearly based on the box office alone, I would say that the movie that's, if you want a sequel that's horror related that is doing like gangbusters business based on how much it costs, is Terrifier.
Did I hear correctly? It's like fucking 2.5 hours.
See, here's the thing about Terrifier. I think if we lived in a world where streaming didn't exist, Terrifier would not be anything. It never would have got anything. It just would have went straight to video and went away. But since we now we stream absolutely everything, every Ted, Dick, and Harry, that's for you, AJ, would be able to make a horror movie, whether it's good or bad, and it'll blow up because it's a horror movie. People just love
Brother, you have recommended Terrifier to me a lot, and I still haven't gotten around to it. Do you have interest in a 2.5-hour sequel to it?
I mean, maybe if I had 2 days to watch it. Or maybe it was like Snyder Cut or something, and it had chapters.
Sort of relating to all this, Spencer says later on, so I'm going to scroll down, Amsterdam's costing the studio $100 million and is not going to make its money back, but Smile, that almost went straight to streaming and didn't even get a cinema release and only had like a $5 million budget, is now up to about $130 million.
I don't want to gloss over that one either. I almost skipped out on that one too, but I'm like, nope.
Well, with Amsterdam, it serves them fucking right.
I'm gonna have to defend that in a couple weeks. I got a feeling. So
people are just gonna use that clip of Taylor Swift being thrown under the car again when she doesn't win the Oscar. It'll just be that bit that people will meme.
That was a brutal scene, though.
Yeah, but it's just like
it really was.
That's why we had Taylor Swift on, for her to die in about 14 seconds.
AJ, I got a good comparison for you. You know what? I said this before, and I feel like it makes sense in my head. And if it doesn't sound right, then it's probably because I'm very like loopy right now. But AJ, you know what Amsterdam is?
Go ahead.
The Coen brothers making Public Enemies.
Oh. Well, I've been meaning to rewatch Public Enemies because I feel like its reputation is improving. I wonder if is it Bale in your subconscious also potentially?
I think it's the way things are shot. I think it's the way that like the brutality of the car scene. I feel that both movies can take place in the same universe.
I can kind of say. I also remember Public Enemies having a lot of like big and wide shots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Amsterdam was trying to be claustrophobic for some reason. A
Yeah,
lot of needless close-ups.
I get like Nightmare Alley vibes from it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not doing well with defending a movie that I actually liked either. So
I think Russell just kind of needs to. I mean, he's lucky that nobody knows accidental love exists. Let's be clear about that.
On the network, dude. People that watch this network know about that video that exists of yours.
Ugh. Two of them. I think I got a regular review, and then there was our worst of the year review, so that'd be two.
That is correct.
Josephine now comes in. Hey, Popcast team, finished reading A Duet for Home by Karina Yang Glazer and The Light We Give, both great books. I'm now reading Temple Alley Summer by Sachiko Kashiwaba, a Japanese juvenile fiction book, a ghost story mystery.
Nice.
It's some Japanese sort of. I mean, it's not Juji Ito. It's not that creepy shit, but as long as it's sort of like that, that'll be alright. Yeah, Josephine says, regard to Robbie Coltrane, favourite Hagrid moment. I mean, isn't it the "You're the Wizard, Harry" because it just became a meme?
I love when Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid in Forbidden Journey basically says in the middle of the ride, he goes, "You haven't seen a dragon, have you?" Love that line. Always love that line. And kudos to us for being able to do good on Robbie Coltrane and his memory by putting flowers by the Hagrid animatronic on Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure this past week.
Oh, nice. Josephine says that her would be the scene in Chamber of Secrets when Ron has the Quiddick injury. Branagh tries fixing him, Ron's bones are gone, and Hagrid's like, "Broken? There's no bones left." I think also the bit where he's like, you know, don't worry about that dog, and don't worry about what it's guarding from by the orders of Professor Dumbledore, and I can't remember the name. It wasn't like Tom Riddle, but it was something like that. And then like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Basically, I just want the Hagrid character itself to be put into a Pirates movie.
I would say his best moment in the series isn't even really a comedic one. Well, it's not a comedic one. It's after Hermione gets called a mudblood and he's like consoling her and telling her not to think about it. That's a good Hagrid moment.
Yeah, it's like I was trying to think of the warm moments like that, but all I can think of is the comedic ones. or when Buckbeak gets a death sentence and he's really upset. But all I can think about is I shouldn't have told you that. But the thing that kind of bothers me is, isn't it kind of weird that I shouldn't have told you that as a running gag in only one movie?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't it have been?
So you're saying it should have been the "I've got a bad feeling about this" of the Harry Potter universe?
Yeah. Yeah, but my favorite of those is the one where there's usually a pause when he says, "I shouldn't have told you that," but then there's the one where he notices immediately when it was nobody knows how to get past Fluffy except for me and Dumbledore. I shouldn't have told you that.
Josephine asks favorite bathtub scene in a film. What Lies Beneath is the first thing that comes to mind. I rewatched it yesterday with my mum. Such a great psychological thriller. Fun fact: Clark Gregg co-wrote the screenplay for it. Wow.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Maybe it's because I'm in a horror mood, but the very first one that comes to mind is A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I figured you were going to go there.
The one that most vividly came to mind for me is the Quiet Place Part 1.
Oh my God! Of course.
That was like really sort of like.
That should be my answer. I guess my mind immediately went to just literally somebody taking a bath. But yeah, if we're talking about bathtub scenes in general, I have to say that. I'm just wondering who's going to be the first person to say The Big Short, because I know it's coming.
Well, the first thing I thought of was the dream sequence in American Beauty.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk, well, you said not necessarily taking a bath, but a bathtub scene. Obviously, you're talking about Psycho.
Technically, yeah.
You got to throw it out for Shining too.
I mean,
oh yeah.
we've got a little bit of a theme ski here moving on, but I can't give up the fact of the wonderful bathtub with the cowboy boots on from Maverick.
There is a random scene which, if I can find somewhere online, it's definitely showing up in Movie Club at some point because of OSW review. It's an Irish film called Fatal Deviation, whereas this Irish bloke that's stark bollock naked, I think in cowboy boots or something, that's in this bath that's just literally like in a blooming scrap yard or something. And just in like a caravan that could probably, you could blow on it and it'll just fall over. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot. Courtney Love and the People versus Larry Flint.
Mm-hmm. You mean her
crazy? It's crazy how many good
scenes are out there. It's been many years.
What were you saying, bro?
If that's the case, does the chainsaw and Scarface count?
Yeah,
that's in a
I'd
bath.
say so.
I noticed nobody's saying I spit on your grave, by the way.
No, we're not.
There's a lot of, it's surprising. There's a lot of like memorable bathtub scenes out there because I was also sitting here and I thought of Shanghai Noon and Big Fish.
Yeah, the Shanghai Noon one's amazing. That's like one of the best comedy reveals ever.
Hostel 2.
Oh God.
I hate that scene for many, many reasons.
But
it's memorable.
For another comedic one, I like the way they address it in Big Daddy. When he stands up and he says, "Why do I have to wear a bathing suit?" And Sandler's response is, "Because I don't really know the rules about this."
Joe's Ving with a little bit more trivia. It was interesting seeing Miranda Otto from Lord of the Rings play the neighbor. Zemeckis filmed it while production for Castaway was shut down so that Tom Hanks could lose weight. 5 different versions of the bathroom were constructed, or the bathroom set I should say, were constructed so various parts of the same scene could be filmed at different times on opposite coasts. Okay.
While we're on What Lies Beneath, I did see that Harrison Ford is going to be our William Hurt replacement for the MCU, apparently.
Saw that.
I was interested in what you thought about that.
And I kind of thought we'd just get away from the character, but because I feel like it's going to be distracting that we have some that like it's literally Harrison Ford. Like, how is that not going to be distracting? But I think he'll have I guess the most important thing is if you have the voice down, which I'm sure he'll do.
Yeah, I think I saw he's supposed to be in the next Captain America.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's the go-to
replacement. One of the funny comments I saw was, "I can't wait for that grumpy ass face to get asked a bunch of comic book questions."
Oh yeah, he's gonna love that.
I think that the only other person you'd want to put in the MCU right now is Nick Nolte.
And I thought Star Wars was bad.
Well,
Oh man, is that too close to Ang Lee's Hulk though?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
funny
Yeah,
that we've had, Nick Nolte and Ross have been in the same movie before.
that is true.
According to the original script, Claire and Norman smoke pot. There you go. Josephine says, for fun, Josephine also says, I'll say that so it doesn't look like I'm slurring my words.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, Ashley. Well, you talk. When I hear the words Claire and Norman come to mind immediately. Those are characters in the movie I watched the other day, so that's interesting that comes up like that.
For some reason, I've been drawn to watching a lot of vampire movies, including Near Dark, Dracula Dead and Loving It, The Vampire Bat, and Vampire. Friday night, I watched John Carpenter's Vampires. Fun movie, but kind of misogynistic.
I haven't rewatched it in a while, but I have heard recently that Dracula Dead and Loving It holds up.
It's Leslie Nielsen, of course it will.
I'm very interested to revisit it. It's right here on the shelf next to me. I could at any moment, and I still haven't yet, but I would like to before the season's over.
Favorite interrogation scene in a movie?
It's The Dark Knight, without question.
Leland Orser's scene in Seven would have to be up there.
I only need to say 3 words. Is it safe?
Oh shit! I can't say The Dark Knight without question because the usual suspects exists.
Is it safe?
Oh yeah.
From Marathon Man is like harrowing because it's like
yeah.
It's not like the interrogation is when most interrogation scenes, like it's gonna be like delivering answers. But in the case of Marathon Man, he is completely oblivious to everything that's going on. So all this torture is like he doesn't even know why it's happening.
Yeah, that's another one where I wasn't even thinking outside the box. I typically just think cops and person being questioned. I wouldn't have even thought of the Marathon Man scene.
That's probably.
I like the one in Men in Black just for the line of "What are you talking about? I am half the man you are."
Do I have half the brains that you do?
Men in Black has a lot of great interrogations. Because the whole Jeep scene is an interrogation.
Who would you rather hire as a paranormal investigator? Roddy McDowall from Legend of Hell House, Michael J. Fox from The Frighteners, or John Cusack's character from 1408?
I'd probably say Cusack. Because Fox was like a con artist. So I wouldn't want to.
He's a con artist that could actually do what he said he could do.
That's why The Frighteners is amazing.
I go with McDowell. I only found that film recently, but like that is really well done. It's one that I wish I'd seen earlier, rather than just see like over the sort of lockdown, COVID times and everything.
When you said Roddy McDowall, at first I thought you were going to say Roddy McDowall from Fright Night.
I know. Part of me was thinking when I saw the list, it's like, oh, we got a Fright Night, and then it's like, oh no, they went the classy route. Yeah. Josephine says the positive reviews for Pinocchio, I'm guessing Del Toro's, have me hopeful about me manifesting it getting into the weak-ass field of adapted screenplay, even if it's just wishful thinking. Considering what I've heard about, basically it's Pinocchio meets Pan's Labyrinth, in that it is set during wartime, but the story, the story of Pinocchio is set during the war, which is very Pan's Labyrinth-esque, so it was, as long as it's not, whatever the... Don't get me wrong, the Disney one is all right, but it gets very heavy-handed at some point. Stir of Echoes or The Sixth Sense?
The Sixth Sense. Stir of Echoes is very good, but I can say The Sixth Sense without even hesitating, really.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Stir of Echoes yet.
I'm curious what you think of it. It's worth checking out. Is it streaming on anything?
I don't know offhand.
Josephine says the hypnosis sequence in Stir of Echoes, in which Kevin Bacon's Tom gets hypnotized for the first time, follows actual hypnosis techniques used by professional hypnotists. Also, the babysitter reads The Shrinking Man by Richard Matheson, the author of the book that it was based on, which, you know, Matheson also did The Omega Man, which became the Omega Man the film, but then of course I Am Legend and the infamous let's change the ending. WGA denied Andrew Kevin Walker a screenplay credit for Stir of Echoes and his script doctoring on the film, so he just received special thanks in the end credits instead. Wow. Ooh. Okay, I get this because of certain film that's popular around this time of year. William Friedkin's best film.
I mean, for me, it would be Killer Joe.
Such a great movie.
But obviously, I love The French Connection. I know you're supposed to say The Exorcist here, but
yeah, I have to say French. I want to go French Connection more, because I don't think French Connection 2 was too much of a step down from 1. I think both films delivered, although of course Friedkin didn't direct the second one, but I feel Exorcist lost its way to some point, as it has, but they easily could have tried to remake French Connection. Don't tell me it's probably happening in 2026. I'm gonna have to clip this at some point, aren't I? If that suddenly happens, and I'm like,
I've only seen it once, but something I would love to revisit now that I'm much more well versed in the crime genre is To Live and Die in L.A. So here it's getting much more of a reputation now as like being a kind of a pinnacle of 80s crime movies.
Can't hear you.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the thing about Killer Joe, which is interesting, is that Killer Joe is one of the movies that heard a lot about it, and then we ended up going like 2 hours out of town to go see it. And it's just, the movie had a feel to it. It was just like pretty disgusting, like vermin, trash. It was so good.
How perfect was it that we also saw Cosmopolis that day? Like, that was like the perfect double feature. We had to go to 2 different theaters, but still, it had that same vibe of, I'm really glad we watched these together.
Which is funny, because normally we used to do that same thing all the time. The only difference is that it was about an hour and a half longer to get to those theaters than it was what we normally did.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it was actually, I love doing the double feature with Cosmopolis, but I also loved when me and my brother saw it, because when me and my brother saw it, there was more of a crowd than there was the first time.
Oh, that'd be an entertaining movie to watch with a crowd.
That's a very reaction-heavy movie.
Yeah, it is. I'd like to have watched Barbarian with a full theater. That would have been entertaining.
Yeah.
I hear gasps here and there, because it was kind of like there was people sprinkled around, but it was like God, because imagine right now if I would have watched this on like opening weekend when everybody was like packed to see it because it had all that buzz.
I remember there were some people saying that Bug was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's actually a versus on this channel is Killer Joe and Bug.
Yeah, that's weird timing. You put them both together, Ashley.
That was essentially I'd seen him around before, but Bug was essentially my intro to Michael Shannon, and that's a hell of an intro to Michael Shannon.
Yeah. Favorite Diane Lane performance?
Unfaithful.
Unfaithful comes to mind. I'm pretty partial to A Little Romance, one that she did. It was like from 1979, so she was still like tiny in it, but that's the one that always stuck out to me. I also think, and maybe I'm alone here. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm alone here. I think she has a very interesting character in Jack,
Yes.
the Robin Williams movie, where it's like, I'm trying to figure out it's kind of odd, and I can get where people were kind of put off by it, but the way that the plot of the movie being that Robin Williams is a 10-year-old in Robin Williams' body, and so to like adapt to this, Diane Lane, but we also kind of get this in the opening scene also before she's even had him, that her character is also kind of childlike. Like she never really, like she's also kind of a child in an adult's body, but she just also happens to be her actual age. And the way she played that, I thought, was really interesting.
I think she does a good, in terms of other stuff that doesn't get mentioned, and she did a good job in Chaplin, I think, as well. But yeah, Unfaithful and maybe Secretariat was probably like the standout sort of major things, I'd say.
I'd probably lean toward Perfect Storm.
Yeah, that as well.
That's a good one.
Spencer says, I wish more horror films would acknowledge all movies instead of so many timelines. It would help Halloween out. Friday the 13th doesn't ignore movies, and some of those suck.
Well, Jason Goes to Hell kind of went off the rails, didn't it?
Yeah. But as I say, every horror franchise does, at least once. That's why I'm worried, because if we get a Barbarian 2, something's gonna go wrong somewhere.
I don't. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could shoehorn an idea, but that's the only way you're gonna get there.
Oh boy!
Oh, prequel! Exactly what we talked about earlier.
Oh, they're gonna pearl it.
Yes. And that worked very well last time, so why not?
Was Conjuring 2 a prequel?
Yes. 100% yes.
Wait, say that again?
I was trying to remember whether Conjuring 2 was a prequel.
I don't think so.
Conjuring 2? No.
The one with the fucked up timeline is Annabelle.
Right.
Yep.
The timeline is, chronologically, it's the second movie, then the third movie, then the first movie.
Nice. That's the one. That's the one that I'm confused about. Josephine then asks, favorite Tom Wilkinson performance?
Let's go.
That's...
I would say In the Bedroom, probably.
Do I have to stick to a movie?
Honestly,
I don't think so. Why?
His Ben Franklin and John Adams.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think to like some of his earlier stuff. I think he's very good as sort of the least you'd expect to be doing a stripping thing in the full Monty. I think he does a very good job with that. And he's also good as... Is he the judge in the Name of the Father? Or the prosecution?
Oh shit! I'd have to watch it again.
I'm trying to remember.
We also can't forget Michael Clayton.
Just ironically, they had, I guess as part of, because we have Black History Month in October here in the UK, they were showing Bell last night, and I think he did a very good job in that as well.
Well, I mean, Chris, are you going to gloss over his Carmine Falcone?
No, I was just waiting for the floor to open up to go that route.
I'm surprised you didn't go Rush Hour. And yeah, let's have him be a Japanese man, Die Another Day style. He don't look Asian.
Honestly, I'm gonna throw out a shout to The Ghost Rider, a movie that not enough people saw or even know that exists.
Oh yeah.
I love Ewan McGregor, and I will not apologize for this.
And then the best uncredited appearance he did, Mission Impossible, where they kill him off after like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like, oh wow, he's the IMF. Oh, he was the IMF. Damn it.
Was that Ghost Protocol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the car blew up, just as Cruise got out of it.
I was gonna say, I do regret you mentioned John Adams. I remember I was there when you picked up John Adams, and there was a second copy of it next to the one you picked up, and I almost took it, and I've been regretting that I didn't.
You should have. It was really good. I was completely engrossed for all 7 parts.
So, AJ, the question is, did you put it down and get something else, or did you just walk away?
I got something else. I'm trying to remember what it was, and I can't remember.
That's fair.
Do you remember what I ended up paying for that? Wasn't it like $4 or something?
I think it was like $7 or something. It was low.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's why I'm especially regretting that I didn't pick up the other one. It's probably the best deal I would have gotten on it.
One of the best deals brand new I got was first season of The Crown, which should have been like, all the other shops had it for sort of like £25-30, and for some reason the shop that doesn't normally sell discs had it for 10. So I was like, okay, I'm picking this up. Oh wait, it isn't an error. And then I go the next week, £30.
It's weird how I remember when TV seasons first came out, each season was like $40 or $50 a piece, and now you could buy an entire series for like $30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I literally picked up the entire series of Friday Night Lights, all 6 seasons, at Ollie's for like $25.
I do recall the only television show I actually did that with was Seinfeld. The first 3 seasons of Grey's Anatomy before they killed me off. And if you know, you know. And that really cool Time Life box set of Get Smart. The awesome one that was shaped like the phone booth, and it kind of like was Velcroed, and it kind of like opened up, and it had like pictures and all sorts of cool gimmicks and everything.
I remember when you got that very first Seinfeld box set that had the first 2 seasons in it.
Ah, yes, the salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah. These?
Yep, exactly.
Do you know how much I got this box set for?
When did you get it?
Oh, probably at least a few years ago.
$5?
Lower.
$2.
What was that?
$2.
Yep.
The thing that I normally tip people, $2.
What's
I
the
wouldn't say that out
deal
loud,
with all
but-
these deals?
I don't
Oh.
do that anymore though.
You were asking. I was looking around. I think when I put John Adams back was when I got my Criterion Blu-ray of The Fisher King. I think. So,
Unacceptable.
but I do still wish. I come to think of it, I think another reason I regretted that is I think I would have still been able to have afforded John Adams with The Fisher King, but I just didn't go back for it.
Well, you know where you can find it.
Basically, he says you
Starts
need to
with
go to
an
his.
S and ends in Treeming.
Yeah. Which one is it on?
It's on HBO Max because it's an HBO original.
Oh,
That's probably
easy.
why it's so good.
Yeah, I remember when it had all of its buzz for like the Emmys.
Yeah, it crushed the Emmys.
I remember that distinctly.
Dude, you know how much I love Paul Giamatti. I loved Paul Giamatti even more after John Adams.
That's fair.
Spencer says, I want Tarantino to make a live-action Tom and Jerry or Roadrunner movie.
That would be interesting.
He needs to do. The only way he can do it is if Tom is played by Michael Madsen and Jerry is played by Tim Roth.
I went with Madsen but then again, I was thinking Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
The most interesting thing about this is that both of these cartoons are known for being dialogueless.
Well, Tarantino loves his directional dialogue.
Dude, I can't. November 1st is when Tarantino's new book comes out, and I just, it's all I can think about.
Spoiler alert for the channel, ladies and gentlemen. You just put 2 and 2 together and try to realize what I'm talking about.
Favorite Thomas Newman score, Josephine asks. For me, it's his work with Todd Field, both in The Bedroom and Little Children. I also love the score for Road to Perdition.
I'm probably going Road to Perdition.
It's definitely going to be a Sam Mendes movie, I feel like.
I'm split between
The music in Road to Perdition is gorgeous.
I'm split between American Beauty and Skyfall. Because at first, with Skyfall, I was worried because I really loved David Arnold's work. And I think he knocked it out of the park with Skyfall. The problem is he then also did Spectre, which just really felt like a sort of phoned-in soundtrack. It was just like, let's do all the same stuff from Skyfall because it worked. And it's like, no. Even John Barry was like, no, I have to make the James Bond theme sound different in every single gun barrel.
I have to throw a vote to Wally.
Mm-hmm.
Great atmospheric music.
Yeah, I was gonna say American Beauty, but I might lean just a little bit more towards Road to Perdition.
I forgot you also did the soundtrack for Shawshank as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shawshanks is really good too.
That was I don't remember if it happened more than once, but 94 was the year he was double nominated, wasn't he?
I think so.
Was Little Women his other one?
Let me just double check. The one I always forget about as well is Wally, just because the only thing I think of is the dun 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 bit that was just in the trailer that I saw all the time. Yeah, Shawshank and Little Women were the same year.
Considering the fact it's been drilled into my head for all of eternity, and I have zero problems with this, I got to give a shout to Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
I love Nemo's music. It's so whimsical.
I also like the fact that his bit of the score from Lemony Snicket's series Unfortunate Events made it into the teaser trailer for Alice in Wonderland. And wow, there's about 10 There's about 10 films where they just borrowed his score and stuck it in the trailer. I see Brokeback. I see Fun with Dick and Jane. 8 Below. Like,
Ooh.
technically,
Whoa,
these...
wait. Hang on a second. Are we saying Newman did Brokeback's score?
No. His music from The Shawshank Redemption
Okay.
featured in the trailer for Brokeback.
I was gonna say, was I misremembering? Because I
No.
would have said that immediately.
It's like one of these things where he inadvertently might be in your mind, sort of thing.
I can't gloss over Saving Mr. Banks either.
Yeah. And on his TV stuff, the score for Angels in America was really good as well.
He also did the theme. I think it was for. Did he do the theme for 6 Feet Under?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. That theme's really good too.
Josephine with some Road to Perdition stuff. Won Best Cinematography at the Oscars that year. Was also nominated for Supporting Actor for Paul Newman. Art Direction, Sound Editing, Mixing, and Score. That year, Elliot Goldenthal won Original Score for Frida, along with Elmer Bernstein for Far From Heaven being nominated, John Williams for Catch Me If You Can, and Philip Glass for The Hours. That is an eclectic list. Philip Glass. I completely forgot he did film. I mean, I know of like his weird ones that I don't know the name of because it was the music from it appeared in the GTA 4 trailer like 17 years ago or however long it was. But the first trailer for GTA 4. Far From Heaven was the last theatrical movie that Bernstein composed before his death, although he did also do the music for a TV doc on Cecil B. DeMille. And also, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. 10 Commandments, Great Escape, Sweet Smell of Success, My Left Foot, Age of Innocence, Wild Wild West. Really? Okay. Like, you know... Sorry, that one caught me off. And I saw the Rainmaker on The Good Son, but then it was like, so I had to double, triple, and quadruple check. Wild Wild West. Wow. The original director of The Good Son, Michael Lehman, was replaced due to clashes with Macaulay Culkin's father. Okay.
Oh, I just want to throw something out there real quick. It's nobody's thinking about it except for me. But I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. It would make me feel better if I threw this out there real quick. Because this person has really been making an impression on me for a while now. But then something happened. I did a video on The Good Son. I did it with Mikey, the Brian Bonsall movie. And there was a point in time in The Good Son video where I mispronounced somebody's name. And the reason I mispronounced his name is because of Owen. So I want to say it while he's here.
Oh, god dang it. What do you mean?
Yep. So, I've been taking to his music for a while now because it was really, weirdly enough, it was really inspiring my writing. Like I was writing scenes around his music. And this person is Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
And who, of course, I love now as an actor after X. And there is a song, I think it's Unfuckwoodable, starts with a soundbite from The Good Son when Macaulay Culkin says, "You can fly." And I mentioned this in my Good Son video, but my mind reverted. You know how sometimes you learn something after like mispronouncing something or whatever, but then sometimes your mind in the moment reverts back to the way you used to say it?
Yep. In there.
There was a long time before I really knew who Kid Cudi was. You were pronouncing his name Cootie.
And that's how I remember hearing it way, way in the long ago and the way before times. But yeah, I definitely would say Kid Cudi now.
And it's like, I knew it was Cudi when I did the Good Son video, but when I said his name, my mind reverted back to Cootie. And you would never guess that I'm a fan of him if I don't know how to say his name. So I just want to put that into the world. That
Jesus.
if you're like one of the 20 people that saw my Good Son video, that's what I was talking about.
Josephine continues on. The Good Son was partly inspired by 1956's The Bad Seed. Has anybody seen that?
I don't remember. I love the killer child movies like that. But weirdly enough, I remember The Bad Seed not actually leaving that much of an impression, despite having like Oscar-nominated performances in it. But yeah, but I do wonder if maybe I saw it too young. Like maybe it was a little more slow burn than the younger me was expecting or was used to. So maybe if I revisited it now, it would be better. Anybody else?
I don't think I've seen Bad Seed off the top of my head. Despite all its, I mean, four nominations, 2 for supporting actress, to be fair. Best black and white cinematography. That's how far we're going back, everybody. And again, it's Warner Brothers, so you know it might get deleted eventually. I don't know. Or is it being preserved? Elijah Wood was considered for the role of Thomas J. Sennett in My Girl, which went to Macaulay Culkin, and they both star in Good Son. Okay, this one says specifically for AJ, but the others can chime in. Favorite Samantha Morton performance? Oh.
Immediately, I want to say In America, but I'm trying to remember if there's a more like kind of inspired answer, like something that's more off the radar.
I mean, it was a TV film, but she was great opposite Jim Broadbent in Longford, based on Lord Longford's campaign to try and get Myra Hindley on parole, and she played Myra Hindley, you know, the one half of the Moors murderers, like so calculating and everything. And she also was in the BBC adaptation of 10 Rillington Place a few years back, playing Ethel, with Tim Roth as Christie.
How did I not know this existed? Well, I'll be looking into this.
Yeah, and a very somewhat early in her career Jodie Comer as well.
I also want to shout out Synecdoche, New York, but I think my answer probably just is In America. I wish it was more inspired than that. I remember she made an impression in Minority Report. I feel like Minority Report is probably the where a lot of people saw her for the first time.
Yeah, in terms of film stuff, I'd say it was. I also remember, whether for good or for bad, I can't remember, in Code 46 as well. The weird sci-fi film.
Yeah, the one with Tim Robbins.
Yeah. But yeah, Longford is very good. I can't remember whether she won an award for that. Let me have a quick check. She won a Golden Globe, but didn't win at BAFTA. And nobody apparently cared about. Nobody cared about 10 Rillington Place. Great. I feel sad. Favorite movie scene when somebody jumps from a building. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the police chase scene early on in Men in Black. This is probably too obvious, but the free your mind bit in the Matrix.
That's the first thing I thought of. I feel like This is another in joke with Owen. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes. Go.
What you said during the opening scene of The Happening? Please do the honors.
I am so cold and not thinking right now. I literally am not, like, my mind is drawn a blank.
If you don't remember, which most probably don't,
No.
one of the opening scenes of The Happening is like multiple construction workers jumping off of a building and committing suicide.
Oh, it's Raining Men.
Yes, Owen began.
Yes. I was thinking it's Raining Men. That's right.
I guess
Mine would be Scary Movie.
I was gonna say probably the other iconic one is the bit in Die Hard, and I don't mean falling off the building, a la Gruber. I mean jumping off to avoid all the C4 that's been put up there.
Yeah, the fire hose bungee jump.
Yeah.
Yes. I love the Scary Movie scene because I know Scary Movie is the kind of movie where this is just kind of the thing, but I mean that scene especially, the fact that it's not connected to anything else. It's just like its own standalone scene.
Wait a minute. Was the question jumps off the building or falls off a building?
I think jumps.
Do we count Beethoven's second?
We're going to.
We weren't, but we are
Because
now.
I think he's supposed to fall, but when you watch the scene, he clearly jumps. And then another good one is it the first Lethal Weapon?
Where he rescues the guy.
Yeah.
Where he like handcuffs him and jumps off. Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay, that one's good too.
Yeah.
So the thing says the first thing that came to mind for me was the police chase scene in Men in Black 1.
That scene like wigged my vertigo out when we saw it in the theater back in July. I wasn't expecting that. Because I've seen that scene like 500 times. And I was like, wow, that's a really high building. You don't realize that on TV.
Chris and AJ come up with a journalism movie starring Carrie Ells, Rhea Seehorn, Tony Leung, Jackie L. Haley, Ving Rhames, Taylor Russell, and Michael Ward.
I don't know who like half the people are you just mentioned.
You said a journalism movie?
Yeah.
I want Jackie Earle Haley to be one of the journalists because everybody would expect him to be a creeper that's being pursued by journalists.
Give him glasses.
Yeah.
I would have I'd have
glasses.
Carrie Elwes be like the J. Jonah Jameson of it.
Yeah, that's where I was going also.
Yeah. But if he does it, I want him to do it in his really heavy fake Southern accent.
The one from Kiss the Girls.
Yeah.
Dude, when I found out he was British, my fucking head exploded.
Part of me, I know you couldn't because it's such an iconic piece of work. If you tried to modernize To Kill a Mockingbird, I could see Michael Ward as like the kid in the dock. Ving Rhames possibly being the father.
Carrie Elwes could be Atticus Finch and bring his fake Southern accent with him.
In that respect, Jackie would be good as the judge because he could still have the thick glasses.
I tell you, speaking of To Kill a Mockingbird, one of my big regrets in life is when I was in New York, I didn't go see To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway, where fucking Jeff Daniels was Atticus Finch.
Jeff Daniels was Atticus Finch, and Sorkin rewrote it.
Yeah, that's like, one of my regrets is that I didn't go see it.
It's kind of like what Ashley was saying. It's Sorkin like modernized it. and that's what that
Mhm.
was.
Who would win a fight? Father Karras from The Exorcist or Ethan Hawke's character from First Reformed?
Is this pre or post possessed,
I
Karis?
know, I was gonna say. It's post possessed.
Because we know Ethan Hawke in First Reformed has a high pain threshold.
True. But I'd say possessed Karras has like even further beyond pain threshold. um, I'd say before possession, First Reformed. After possession, Exorcist.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Spencer says, I've just watched Before Sunrise. Any thoughts from us? I think it's amazing that basically the Before trilogy is basically what Boyhood should have been.
Well, so I like Sunrise a lot, but Sunset is my favorite by far. But Sunrise has a lot of scenes that I love, like the scene where they're doing like the phone call thing, where they're like pretending to talk to their friends about them, and that's how they're like learning how they feel, like indirectly. And I like the poem scene where the guy writes the poem for them, where he has them throw milkshake into it, I think. So I like that, but Sunset just kind of like Sunrise has the individual moments that I like, but Sunset is the one where like just as a whole is where that's the one I really took to. And I found Midnight kind of underwhelming, but
Sunrise does feel like a good modernized version of Brief
Encounter
to some
yeah.
extent. Yeah. Okay, buy one, rent one, lose one. This time we're heading to San Francisco. So we've got Mrs. Doubtfire, The Rock, The Game, Vertigo, Bullet, The Conversation. I'm already annoyed. Harold and Maude, Point Blank, Inside Out. Which one? The Maltese Falcon, Sister Act, Zodiac, The Towering Inferno, Dirty Harry, and What's Up, Doc?
Wow.
I don't know what I would kill.
Hang on, I need to check if that Inside Out is a Get Out for me. Where was the other one set?
I kept thinking like as you were going, oh, easily that one. Oh, easily that one. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that one. No, I don't.
Where's Pacific Heights?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I think like Owen just said, I don't even know which one I'm taking out.
Oh god damn it! The WWE one was set in New Orleans. I can't use that as an escape. I'd probably buy Dirty Harry, rent Zodiac, and just because it's the only one I haven't seen, I probably have to go with What's Up, Doc. Because it's the only one that I haven't actually seen. The one that I would also put in there as like my honorable mention, Last Black Man in San Francisco. That's still amazing. even though it's.
I feel like we can cheat here. Because since, Scorpio in Dirty Harry was inspired by the Zodiac Killer, Zodiac and Dirty Harry can just be together, right? They're just one item. I guess, even though I like it too, I guess the Towering Inferno is the one I'd take out. I guess. Just by process of elimination.
Have we all committed to not?
I'd probably lose one of the ones I haven't seen. I'm gonna buy Mrs. Doubtfire just for the run by fruiting, and then I'd probably rent The Rock because AJ knows I've always advocated for The Rock.
Yes. I feel like even before it was cool to do so.
Huh?
I feel like even before it was cool to do so.
Yeah. And how long did it take me to win you over?
When I did the verses on it, which was probably like 5 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
I still think his delivery of the winners go home and fuck the prom queen was like, that didn't need to be said, but somehow it did.
By the way, brother, did you see where Pierce Brosnan did one of those career breakdown videos?
No.
And when he got to Mrs. Doubtfire, he broke down the run by fruiting.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. I knew there was a reason I really liked Pierce Brosnan.
He talked about how they were doing it for real. And he said he was annoyed because he was like, this is going to take all day. Like, this is going to take forever to shoot if they're going to try to do it for real. And Williams missed the first one, and the take that we see was the second one.
Wait a minute, so Pierce Brosnan really was the victim of a run by fruiting.
Yes, that's actually him taking.
The man's a hero. The man is a hero.
He took that shot for us.
Man, Pierce Brosnan, I really wish his Bond would have had some better movies. Because he deserved them. I liked his Bond.
I kind of feel we already talked about how Tomorrow Never Dies is underrated, but I feel like Goldeneye is good enough that it just kind of makes up for the ones that didn't work.
I don't know. Die Another Day really tried to cancel out Goldeneye.
That was the problem. Lee Tamahori.
Yeah, I remember.
I wish Brosnan would have got like a Skyfall.
Yeah.
Or a Goldfinger or a Spy Who Loved Me. I wish he would have. I guess Goldeneye is his version of that, but
I can't remember who else was in contention to be directing Die Another Day. Because they probably didn't just go, oh, it's Lee Tamahori. There must have been some sort of like trying to work out who.
I thought originally it was supposed to be Martin Campbell.
Let me check.
It would have made sense for Campbell to be like the bookend to Brosnan.
That's why I'm thinking that I thought that he was considered.
Which would make sense that they went back to him for Casino Royale, because it was like, hey,
yeah,
you saw what happened with Die Another Day. We kind of want you back.
Oh. They actually asked Michael Apted from World Is Not Enough to do it, and he accepted. But they rescinded the offer to try and get Tony Scott or John Woo, who both declined.
That would have been kind of.
Oh man, I'm trying to imagine what the hell a Tony Scott Bond film would look like.
Well,
90% of it would take place at sunset.
It gets better, Chris. Tony Scott claims to have suggested Tarantino. Although Michael J. Wilson denies any formal negotiations took place.
I actually think Tony Scott would have been a really good choice, because this would have been pre-Man on Fire, and Man on Fire is when Scott kind of started doing movies with just that one look, like the really frenetic look. But before that, his action movies were pretty not like standard looking, but they weren't like that look he became known for in like the last 6 years of his career or so.
Where everything takes place at sunset, you mean?
Yeah. Or if Enemy of the State Tony Scott would have been good for Bond.
Pierce Brosnan suggested John McTiernan, which would have been.
I think Pierce Brosnan just wanted to work with John McTiernan.
Again, yeah. Because it works so well with Thomas Crown.
Oh man, now I'm imagining a Die Hard movie where it's Bond that's fighting off the terrorists from inside.
Brosnan.
Yeah, because I'm not a fan of McTiernan's Thomas Crown Affair, really. But if we're talking like classic action McTiernan, like 80s McTiernan, I think he could have made a badass Bond movie.
Brosnan also suggested Ang Lee and Martin Scorsese. Apparently, they informally discussed it on a flight with each other, or something.
I don't know that Scorsese and Bond really go together.
No, not unless Bond was taking down like the New York Mafia or something.
Later in negotiations, there were Brent Ratner.
Well, actually, now I'm actually trying to imagine if Scorsese had done Live and Let Die. That could have worked.
That was the one I went to also. Is it because the 70s feel?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it would have been Mean Streets era.
Mm-hmm.
That actually might have worked.
Also, Stephen Hopkins.
But I don't think he would have had the because there's some blaxploitation in there too, and I don't know that Scorsese could have pulled that off.
Stephen Hopkins, who did Elm Street 5, Predator 2, and the pilot episode of 24.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Yeah. I did notice that when I was putting it together. Stephen Hopkins doing Predator 2. He's the only director we didn't shout out in the franchise video, by the way. Sorry about that, Stephen Hopkins.
And then weirdly, Stuart Baird, I guess because of his work on Executive Decision U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, because he's usually an editor, isn't he?
Yeah. Those two in Star Trek Nemesis are his only directing credits, but even as modern as okay, when I hover over across the river and into the trees, it just comes up with the Hemingway novel. So I'm guessing that happened. There isn't a Wikipedia page for the actual film adaptation. Oh, it was announced in 2016 and took that long to come out. Right. Oh, Liev Schreiber. Where was it on? Oh, came out.
For somebody to potentially direct a Bond movie, I think somebody that could do it and would be underrated up until the point that they made it. I would like to see what Edgar Wright would do with a Bond movie.
I mean, I'd be intrigued to see whether they could go with him if we're going to start a new slate, depending what approach they want to take with the new Bond.
Yeah, because we saw with Last Night in Soho that he is. I mean, I didn't really care for Last Night in Soho, but it showed that he's capable of doing a movie in his style, but without being too flashy. Because when you think of like the Cornetto trilogy or Baby Driver, you think of like the really frenetic editing, which wouldn't really fit Bond. But like with it, like the choices that he made in Last Night in Soho, where it didn't feel like that, but you could still see his. Like the way he used mirrors and stuff like that, where he's able to be flashy in a way that's not necessarily in your face. Even though the in your face flashiness is good for the Cornetto trilogy and Baby Driver, but he would have to be a more restrained version of himself if he was going to do it.
You have to pick the new Bond tomorrow. Who are you picking?
I've always been okay with Hardy. But
I'm sorry. I'll put my call into Henry Cavill.
The only reason I don't like Cavill being brought up for Bond is because it makes everybody start praising the Man from U.N.C.L.E., and I still don't get that shit.
You never know. People might want to revisit Immortals.
Oh, I have heard. You would not believe. Okay, look, I'm all for reevaluating movies and movies like that didn't seem that great at the time, like finding new life.
Hmm.
But there's also people that really stretch for this shit, and I have seen people try to bring Immortals back. Well, because
So
because Tarsum is acclaimed in a way.
Wait a minute. The Cell guy did Immortals?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, right? Maybe somebody can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure. But he did that movie The Fall, which was extremely acclaimed, and then it was like he took this great directing style that he has and this interesting and unique style that he has and just started putting it in shit movies.
And apparently movies that don't have more than 2 words in the title from what you've said so far.
Yeah, because didn't he do Mirror Mirror as well? He did something really like random and then kind of like disappeared from that.
I mean, the fact that there's only 2 words in the title fits the pattern.
Are we talking about Tarsum?
Yeah.
His only 5 credits in film stuff is The Cell, The Fall, Immortals, Mirror Mirror, and Selfless.
Fits the pattern.
His most recent stuff is he did the Upstream commercial for Toyota last year. And Call 911 for Lady Gaga from her Chromatica album from a few years back. Nearly all of his stuff is... He also randomly did that Emerald City TV series that was on NBC a few years back. So yeah. Oh wow! So the Lady Gaga one was his first music video since 1994.
Jesus.
I'm just trying to relive the last couple of minutes and trying to figure out how the hell we got from Bond to Tarsum.
It was
Damn you, Lee Tamahori.
It was Bond, Cavill, Immortals, Tarsum. That's what it was.
Okay, there we go.
If I had to choose a Bond,
What a hell of a 4 degrees of separation.
if I had to choose a Bond, Dan Stevens. Not going like with the obvious names and whatever, even though he is sort of like somewhat high in the betting. Because I was trying to get a name that like is being sort of doing the rounds. Richard Madden would also probably just about fit.
I've seen a few people mention Richard Madden.
After his work in Bodyguard, which is outstanding. Which, considering it's from the people that did Line of Duty, it's not that much of a surprise. Josephine says, imagine... I know Josephine isn't here. She's had to go off and take a shower and watch One Piece with her mum. We'll keep going through... imagine if an approach to the Halloween franchise was like the Before trilogy. So before Halloween, during Halloween, and after Halloween.
So like one movie's the 30th, one's the 31st, and then one's the 1st of November?
Or maybe it'd be sort of like years after. Maybe like before is events that cause Michael to do what he does. When
we do years after, that's kind of what Ends tried to do. And that didn't really work out.
I was just thinking you have before Halloween and after Halloween pretty much wrapped up in the Rob Zombie remake.
Josephine says it's funny you mentioned Alice in Wonderland because this week I acted in an Alice in Wonderland courtroom skit. I played Alice. Please don't tell me it was like the Rick and Morty one. The state of Georgia versus whatever his name is.
Also did Alice in Wonderland as a play in like 3rd or 4th grade. I was one of the cards that painted the roses.
Josephine watched the Killer Computer episode of X-Files today, episode 7 of season 1. Favorite X-Files episode, AJ?
To paraphrase Cliff Booth, I'm gonna blow your mind, man. I've never seen an episode of the X-Files. I still need to do that.
You've been shocked,
Yeah,
Josephine.
I think we talked about this recently because I said I've seen the movies and I felt unqualified because I had no context.
Yeah. I always found it weird that when they brought out the original like videotapes for it, they were all like separate files, but it was basically 2 episodes that sometimes wouldn't be related to each other, but then you'd get like, I think it was like file 6, which was Master Plan, which was a 2-part one, which was like the introduction of like the Agent Smith style like super soldiers that like wouldn't die or whatever. That's the first one I remember. And then there was the Tunguska episode, which is technically what actually fed into the first movie to some extent. The first movie was basically the follow-up to that story. I did like that as well from time to time when you sort of had recurring people come back, because I guess you had enough meat on the bone to be able to like flesh it out for a sequel a few seasons down the line. So,
and I want to say, like, oh, it's been recommended to me so many times, and I'm sure I'd probably be into it, and I do want to get to that, and it's like probably sometime next year, I'll go through it, and we'll get to have this conversation. But I know me at this point, and it's me and my brother and my sister-in-law just had this conversation where I was talking about how I don't know what it is with me and TV, but even if I like it, I just can't seem to commit. If like I will probably watch the X-Files, but it will take me forever. It will probably take me a handful of years because for some reason I can't like. I guess I just don't get hooked on shows. And like I said, even if I like them, I never finished Dope Sick, and that's a mini series. And the place where I left off is the biggest cliffhanger ever, right in the middle of the show. And I was like, oh man, it's gonna get really good now. And then I just never went back.
That's why I'm kind of relieved that a 3-part miniseries like 10 Rillington Pace you might actually get through.
I was like, I did get through the White Lotus because it was just that good. I had to force myself to get through Mayor of Easttown, basically only because I was going to do a video on it. That's the only reason I even finished Mayor of Easttown, I think. I never finished. I started doing videos on Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, and I just said, fuck it, I'm not even finishing those videos. We just have an incomplete series on this channel where I just gave up on Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone.
Bry asks, thoughts on Criterion's lineup for the start of 2023? Ironically, it's one actually a week. For a change.
I'm going to need my memory refreshed now.
January 3rd, we have Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Nice.
January 10th, John M. Stahl's Imitation of Life.
Oh.
Lars von Trier's Europe Trilogy Collector's Set for January 17th.
I'm glad Imitation of Life is getting that. But I actually just really like this one that I have already, which is that original one from the 30s and Douglas Sirk's. So I'm probably just good with this, but I haven't read it yet, but I actually also just got the book Fermentation of Life that's sitting over there.
Yeah,
It's very, very run down and might fall apart in my hands, but I have it.
January 24th. This is not a burial, it's a resurrection. I don't even know what that is. And then January 31st, Bergman Island.
Oh,
Okay.
I feel like it's always underwhelming when they do new movies or newer movies.
Yeah, This is not a burial, it's a resurrection. Is 2019.
That sounds like the title of a documentary, but I would have no idea what it is.
Yeah, meditation on the concept of homeland and an elegy for what is lost in the name of progress. Oh no! Grieving and alone following the deaths of her husband and children, elderly Mantoa, Mary Twala Mahongo, in a soul-shaking, can't even say it, a soul-shaking end-of-life performance, prepares for her own death and to be buried alongside her ancestors. When plans for a new dam near her village in the landlocked kingdom of Lesotho threaten to literally wash away all she holds dear, she takes a last stand, mobilizing her neighbors to fight for their land and their way of life. Okay, that sounds actually intriguing now. The fact that it's actually getting a physical release. Apparently there are a couple of other short films from the director, Lemahang Jeremiah Mosa, or Mosese. It's a 2K digital master. Screw your 4K stuff. This is 2K. It's an interesting mix. I mean, we've got really old stuff, and we've got relatively really new stuff. I mean, normally if it's part of the Criterion collection, it's probably good. I just like all the sheep on the front. Farm animals, you see. But donkeys, you know. Can't remember what trailer that I saw recently that like had donkeys in, and I'm like, oh god, it's happening again. The power of the donkey. Favorite Marissa Tomei performance?
I mean, this is easy, but it's kind of a cliche answer. I don't even know if I have to say it.
I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything that isn't the wrestler. Oh wait, that's just.
Can I say Seinfeld?
That's probably fair.
Wow, so am I actually gonna be the only one that says my cousin Vinny?
I forgot she was in that. I mean, she was uncredited in Toxic Avenger, so there's the true stuff.
Yeah, she's the girl that wants to go to the Bowie concert.
Oh, she was also in Chaplin.
Yeah, everybody's in Chaplin. That's one of those cases where literally the DVD cover is just Downey standing there, and then the cast list next to him.
I think she was pretty good as well in oh, where is it? I saw the thing. Now having a brain fart and trying to remember it.
Untamed Heart also comes to mind, the one with Christian Slater.
The movie's so good. Always loved that movie so much, actually.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking at the very end too.
Yeah, I feel like that was like one of the first sad movies I saw. Because that image of the first time of me seeing the ending is so vivid in my mind.
I vaguely remember, in fact, Totem as well. That one was one that sort of stuck with me to some extent. What rides would you want to see at a Criterion theme park? Well, if we're going on what's coming out this month, a ride based on the adventures of Baron Munchausen or any sort of like Terry Gilliam stuff would be interesting.
That would be.
As long as the gift shop at the end is a closet, that's all that matters.
Actually, that's more up your alley right there, because it seems more like a UK, like an Alton Towers or an Eiffeling or like a Thorpe Park or something like that. That would have a nice little theme.
If there was if there was any sort of Gilliam themed ride, I'd be too afraid to get on it. For being honest.
Yeah. But I think he's, maybe something like along his more family friendly stuff, like Jabberwocky or Yellowbeard or, Baron Munchausen. Rather than, his Lost in La Mancha or anything like that.
I suppose as long as you have a car and drugs, anybody can make their own Fear and Loathing ride.
I know people that have. It's amazing what a seat from a 1984 Camaro and a lot of drugs can do.
Gaslight was one of the films that influenced Phantom Thread.
Clearly.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Thoughts on Water for Elephant? Oh, speaking of Phantom Thread, the new film with her in, Cortege, I think it is, or Corsage, sorry, won Best Film at the London Film Festival. And amazingly, the popular one didn't even get the audience one. It was like Little Blue Bag or something. I was expecting, this will be where, Fabelmans or Glass Onion or whatever gets in. But no, they actually went with something that nobody had heard of. Which is a pleasant surprise. Spencer asks, thoughts on Water for Elephants? I forgot that film existed. Is that...
I love the movie.
Promising?
That's one of the movies that really comes to mind when I think about what an underrated and underutilized director Francis Lawrence is.
Mm-hmm.
Once he got roped into the Hunger Games, it was kind of like, he's just kind of one of those director for hire people now. But he really, when he finds a vision, he can really do something with it.
I forgot his debut film was Constantine.
I will say, before anybody, when everybody was on give him flack and everything like that, that's how you truly knew that Robert Pattinson was going to be something big.
And that was kind of one of our first big doses of Waltz post-Bastard.
Yeah, absolutely. That was back when Waltz was like the end-all be-all for both of us.
Yeah, because the Green Hornet had been a few months prior.
Yeah.
Because the Green Hornet came out January 2011. I think Water for Elephants was in the spring, wasn't it?
Yep.
Like in the April area or something. And
I will not be taking any Bludnovsky slander here today, sir.
There is no one on this panel, unless it's Ashley, that's going to slander Waltz in any way, shape, or form. Especially not Bludnovsky.
I think here's the issue with the Green Hornet. Is the Green Hornet as bad as everybody says it is? Or does the Green Hornet just seem bad because it peaks in its opening scene? Because the scene with Waltz and Franco is amazing.
Something I only just realised, at least by a couple of months, Water for Elephants is the first time we saw Uggy before the artist. Those two were the same year.
Dang.
Also, shout out for just Witherspoon just looking completely angelic, but as if that's hard to pull off.
Oh, Josephine's got a
I just thought of another good bathtub scene. Hello, conversation from an hour ago.
Might as well hop it in.
Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Josephine asked me, have I ever seen the show Doc Martin? Yeah. And it's finally coming to an end. Again. Maybe. Because I thought they ended it the last time and then they brought it back.
It's, by the way, speaking of coming back around, now that you've mentioned the Bride of Chucky bathtub scene, now I'm thinking about the bathtub scene that is the opening scene of Goldfinger.
Shocking.
You could make a Criterion collection of bathtub scenes.
Maybe they
Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2.
Notice most of the bathtub scenes are sinister, by the way.
Yeah, bathtub's kind of a scary place. Because you've got there's standing water, so who knows what's lurking under there. It's kind of isolated. You're in a vulnerable position. So yeah, I could totally see where a bathtub comes off as sinister.
But yeah, Doc Martin, it's pretty good comedy drama, I will say. I'm intrigued to see how they were going to actually end it, which is only a couple of episodes left, so we'll see. Josephine also says, with Tar out, we might as well do a movie club of In the Bedroom and Little Children.
We should, because it would save me having to do a versus, which would be great. Yeah, you'll notice, by the way, that we're like 6 videos behind. Those are all verses, and I hit this burnout wall, but it is my plan to start shooting some verses when we're done with this video.
That feel great knowing that I've been away from the computer all day, and I was scared that there was content in there that I have yet to put up, and now you have confirmed that I have not turned my computer on, and there is not anything waiting on me, so that makes me feel a little bit better.
I'm literally looking at the next 2 videos. Like the Blu-rays are sitting here right in front of me, just saying like, "Are we gonna shoot this fucking thing?" They're doing Martin Landau and Ed Wood saying, "Let's shoot this fucker," and I'm just not doing it. But I will. So, yeah.
Candy gives a great semi-serious performance in Only the Lonely, with Maureen O'Hara and Ali Sheedy.
This is the part of the live where we start to come back around on where we started.
Yeah. Comments start coming in. AJ, agree with you 100% about Are You Afraid of the Dark and the Haunted Mask. My brother compared Are You Afraid of the Dark to Grimm's Fairy Tales. Oh, okay. Briar's favourite Halloween from a family or kids or preschool series. I know AJ is going to say Scaredy Pants and I Was a Teenage Gary from SpongeBob.
Well, the best thing about I Was a Teenage Gary, it has its own YouTube clip, and I still go back to it because like almost nothing makes me laugh harder. I believe that's the one where they turn into snails, right?
I think so.
And then at the end, they're all on the fence singing, and Patrick throws his boot at Squidward. It's like that noise that Squidward makes when he gets hit with it will never just not make me like I will literally be on the floor, like in pain from laughing at that still.
I mean, it's.
Sound's gone. He needs to do the Chris Farley mic check from Wayne's World 2. Got to.
Mm.
I set it to the wrong thing. I changed some settings and I have unchanged the settings, but I'm also confused as to why it lost sync again. I tell you, I'm gonna have to move these wires around and hope it doesn't screw everything up, because it's weird. It just happens with OBS. I'm guessing it's just some sort of glitch with that, maybe. I don't know, because it doesn't happen very often when I'm just on regular Discord. Now I was gonna say ghosts. I guess that's technically family friendly because it's on before the watershed, so there's no swearing, and considering it's from the writers of Horrible Histories. If we're talking about if we're talking about Halloween stuff, the Halloween special, which is just stupid deaths from Horrible Histories. When you think of all, there are lots of very stupid deaths. One of which was like a king in the 13th century that was scared of people stabbing him, so he put all the protection on, and then he went to the toilet, not realizing that the person had climbed through the sewer system and killed him by stabbing him in the bum. And there's all sorts of various things like that. It probably helps because it's Simon Farnaby from Paddington playing Death, just being like himself to some extent.
Before, were you just talking about the show Ghosts in general?
Yeah, as well. I think that's.
I was trying to think if it was like I'd never thought of it as family friendly, but now that you put it that way, it's like it is mostly inoffensive as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I mean,
assuming the only one I've seen is the British one with Charlotte Ritchie. I haven't seen the American version.
Yeah, neither have I. I just they showed like one of the big episodes from series 4 where they dealt with like one of the characters not being in it anymore, and I felt the way that they dealt with it was like weirdly touching for something that's supposed to be a 30-minute comedy thing that actually was like, holy shit, this if this got into Golden Globe for drama, people would love it.
By the way, the British version of Ghosts, another show. I watched the first season. I loved the first season. For some reason, I never went back. It's every fucking show it happens.
Even though it's only like 3 hours for each season.
Yeah.
They're 30 minutes.
It's like the only, like I said before, I think the only show lately that I've been hooked on was Barry. Other than that, I like struggle to go back even when I like a show.
Yeah.
But Barry was the show where it was like I waited all week for the next episode. And I'm sure the English will be that way next month.
Now that, oh god, I'm trying to work out whether that's coming out here at the same time as it is for you, or whether we get it first. I'll have to keep an eye on that.
It makes sense if you got it first, but
yeah, I mean it's a BBC production. It's just all the stuff at the minute is obviously revolving around the 100th anniversary.
I think we're supposed to have it. It's going to start here the 11th, I think.
Hang on, I need to have a quick look. The English. No, not the English Patient. The English TV series. There it is.
The English Patient's another bathtub scene.
Little Children's another bathtub scene. Speaking of, that's why I brought it up. Josephine says, now I think about it, the swings in Little Children are sort of like the swings in Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'd love to see an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode with Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh my god, that'd be terrifying.
Would have a little bit later in time, like if careers would have lined up a little bit better, because I honestly think that would have been something that I could have seen actually happen.
Yeah. Well, of course, he was in his retirement period the whole run of Are You Afraid of the Dark. He didn't come back till 2006.
Right.
I'll have to look into the BBC Media Centre for media packs, although I don't know whether they'll be bringing out media packs yet for the English. But yeah, the English is coming out at least in the UK on the 11th of November, which is a Friday. So I don't know whether it's getting simulcast via Amazon on the same day or not. Also, they might series dump it, because occasionally, sometimes they do get series dumped rather than weekly episodic. So we'll have to see in a month. My thoughts on the original: I get that there was no story, it's just the characters were not that mad for me. That would have been good if I knew it was talked about 2.5 hours ago. Spencer says, AJ, I watched a video on you disliking Last Exorcism Part 2 and saying how much you liked the first one. Can you tell me about the things that you liked about Part 1?
Well, I haven't seen it since the theater, but I still have a very vivid recollection of it. I just remember it being really creepy in the sense that it, like, because it was at a place, obviously, where found footage was really played out. But it brought me back to that Blair Witch period of when found footage was terrifying because it felt so real. And that's what it really took me to. And I remember the ending really starting like that last shot of Caleb Landry Jones and us knowing what he's about to do, and then just kind of seeing the camera drop, and it's just like you literally know what the ending is going to be, like halfway through the movie, and you still think like, oh well, surely something will change that outcome, and the fact that it's exactly the outcome it's supposed to be was fucking terrifying. So and like still, and there's the scene where she like where we see everything through the camera, and then there's the point in time where everybody goes to bed, and then the camera just kicks back on because she has it, and it's just sort of walking around in silence, and that's it. Just still creeps me out, and I haven't seen the movie in fucking 12 years. So I bought it with intent to rewatch it, and it was like, I don't know if I can. It's like Sinister again, where it's like I'm too creeped out to try to watch it again, but I know I should at some point just to see if it even holds up. But yeah, so just very simply, it just really creeped me the hell out, and that was very satisfying.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland, I get it now. Because Bryce says, my thoughts on the original: I get that there was no story, it was just the characters that were not that mad for me. Burton's version I like better, and I might have to watch the sequel sometime. And can I mention that I'd have put Tim Curry as the Cheshire Cat instead of Stephen Fry. Yeah. If it's somebody that's good with words, they're going to be a good Cheshire Cat. Oh God. Spencer asking me who my favourite British actor and actress is. On the actor front, I'd probably say Michael Caine. But on the actress front, ooh, I'm trying to think which would be the obvious. Well, not the obvious. A standout one. Although she didn't do much like on film, Glenda Jackson has done like a really good range of stuff. There was she won the BAFTA TV award for it probably got put on PBS in America, called Elizabeth is Missing, where she was playing a woman riddled with Alzheimer's but knew about vaguely something that must have happened back in the sort of 50s and 60s. when she was young, and the fact that I've seen her do that, and then also like be Elizabeth I like 50 years before. There's a lot of range to her.
It's crazy how she can have two leading Oscars and still be as off the radar as she is.
Yeah, I mean to some extent that was Rylance, because Rylance never did anything other than theatre, and then as soon as he did Cromwell in Wolf Hall, off to the races he went, and he's in God knows how much. But it's good because it's like people are now getting to appreciate how good an actor he is. It's a shame they didn't film more of like the stage productions that he's done. That the bits are floating about on the internet here and there.
I love hearing actors talk about Rylance, because you would think they're talking about a supernatural force that they experience. I love. Have you heard Ethan Hawke's story about how he did Rylance chose him to do Hamlet?
No.
It's this. I can't really sum up the power of the story, but it was essentially where like Hawke was still young at the time. They were doing like some sort of I can't think of what the word is, but they were doing like excerpts for like this whole kind of production thing of random Shakespeare plays, and he was running it, and he chose Hawke to play Hamlet. And Hawke was at this young stage where he was like, I can't do Hamlet. I'm not good enough for this. And so he went to Rylance and he said, I can't do Hamlet. Like, it's, I'm not a good enough actor. And Rylance just kind of looked at him and said, well, who do you think should play Hamlet, if not you? And it was like this whole revelatory moment that Hawke had that like followed him through his whole career and gave him like the confidence to do everything he's done up to this point.
It just feels that would be the appropriate time for him to actually say, would it help? It's the irony. It all comes full circle. Thoughts on Big Eyes and Big Fish? Which I think were both Burton, right?
Yeah. Well, brother, I'll let you go on Big Fish.
Oh, we don't have the time. I'm pretty sure it should be, my breakdown of it should be in the top 15 video, I believe.
Yeah, there's that, and I was also thinking, I did a versus with Big Fish and Water for Elephants, and I just feel like we really should probably redo that video sometime together. Because I remember being kind of unsatisfied, and it's like, I don't feel like I'm not as moved by Big Fish as the rest of the world. So I feel like you could definitely bring a lot more passion than I could. As far as Big Eyes goes, I remember actually liking it for the most part, even though I don't feel like it has a great reputation. I mean, the production design really stood out, but that's basically Burton.
Yeah.
And would that have been Bo Welch also? I can't remember now.
Can't remember. Let me have a quick search Google for Big Eyes.
Yeah, I remember it also being maybe a little too bizarre for its own good, when it seemed like it could have been a pretty straightforward story. But like the scene with Waltz in the matches was really weird, and the actual Big Eyes scene was really weird and seemed out of place.
It should have been an obvious sort of gaslighting style film.
Yeah.
It really didn't go that way, when that would have been probably the strongest thing going for it.
Yeah, because it seems like something as subtle as a gaslighting plot wouldn't mesh with Burton's big style, but I feel like Burton could do a gaslighting movie if he just reined it in a little bit.
I'm intrigued to see what he does. Is it this week? With Wednesday?
Oh, is it?
Can't remember. Also, I don't know how much he's directing, or whether it's just going to be like the pilot episode. Directing, producing Wednesday. Out. Oh no, November 23rd. I take it back. So it's about a month away.
So you'd think it'd be this month, but okay, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Netflix, I guess. I don't know what Netflix is putting out this week. I don't have a list. I only have a list of films, of which what are they putting out for Halloween? Nothing. Oh, Wendell. Oh, of course, that is getting a minor cinema release where I am. Wendell and Wild.
Oh yeah, the Henry Selick Key and Peele movie.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that's getting great notices too, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it's going head to head with Black Adam and Banshees of Inisherin, and to some extent, My Policeman. Although I've not heard very good things about that, and I can't see it listed anywhere near me. Anyway, but the thing I was surprised is Wendell and Wild getting to my multiplex. Did not see that coming. Because I thought, Netflix stuff being in the big screen only happens like once every couple of years. But I guess Netflix are desperate. Oh, I don't know. Josephine says, "Love your stay tuned Nightmare on Elm Street idea, Chris." Then also, Scrap Daddy AP says, "Can you guys help me on my health science question?" That's all they said. The problem being, like, I know Scrap Daddy AP is for something else to do with wrestling.
Hi, Adam Pierce.
Yeah, which
Thanks
leaves
for
me
watching.
which leaves me very flipping confused.
Thank you for the very random reference.
7 levels of hate.
Mm-hmm.
I recently watched Bullet to the Head. Spence says, thoughts on it? I thought it was a great film. I mean, I've seen better Stallone stuff.
I remember being surprisingly into it. I love the axe fight with him and Momoa. That really stood out.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember being disappointed that it didn't have enough Christian Slater in it. I felt like there was kind of more to that storyline. But yeah, I remember liking it for what it was. That was around the time The Last Stand came out, wasn't it?
I think.
Yeah, we were talking about.
Yeah, so it kind of felt like we were gonna have like this, the big action stars of the '80s doing these really underrated movies that were actually amazing but not getting enough credit. But then just kind of stopped with the Last Stand. Obviously, is a lot better than Bullet to the Head, but I still actually like Bullet to the Head quite a bit.
Thoughts on Scent of a Woman. Really good.
Yeah.
Probably Pacino's best in the 90s, maybe?
It drives me crazy when people like to look at it as, because that was his only Oscar win, that it was just a career win. But I think that was a performance that was always going to win,
Mm-hmm.
regardless.
Yeah.
Like even if Pacino had won before, he probably would have won again with Son of a Woman.
Spencer also says, thoughts on the Child's Play series as a whole. I love the reboot and Child's Play 2. The third was the worst. Oh.
I think Seed is the worst. I actually kind of like 3, to be honest with you. There's something about Child's Play and The Omen. It was like a thing there where your sequels went to military school for some reason. And for some reason, that just seemed fitting to me. But yeah, them trying to go full blown comedy with Seed, I don't know. But the first one is amazing, and Bride is amazing, and the climax of 2 is fucking disgusting, which is a compliment. Kurt, this is exactly what I'm about to say. Curse and Cult pretty much run together for me, which is why I just accidentally said Kurt. But I haven't checked out the series yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
I think what probably helped, at least with the first series, is it was only sort of 8 episodes. It's not trying to drag itself out.
That's a good start.
I'm guessing. Oh, okay. I do appreciate that the season 2 premiere is titled Halloween 2. So.
Have you seen any of the series?
No, not yet. I've seen plenty of commercials for it, but I haven't watched the series itself.
Oh, that's a bit concerning.
I got startled by a YouTube ad recently, where it's just Chucky sitting there, like telling you that the show's coming on, and like it's not really a jump scare thing. He doesn't like pop out. He's just like there, and the sight of him startled.
Apparently, the last episode that aired last week, the cliffhanger is Glenn and Glenda arriving.
Oh God!
So, God, I hope they treat him better than whatever the hell happened in.
I assume it's still Billy Boyd.
I don't know whether they've established that. I don't see. No. Lachlan Wilson from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is voicing both.
Because the thing that's kind of appealing about this series is that everybody's come back, so that's kind of weird.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. Does it say the voices? Hang on. It doesn't. I don't see the list of the voices yet. It just says that Watson replaces Beans and Christina as Glenn and Glenda's human body. So I don't know whether the actual voice is listed.
I forgot they're human now.
Yeah. So whether it is Watson portraying both, or whether they're going to be dubbed over, I don't know.
If they're human now, I guess Billy Boyd's a moot point then.
Oh, Spencer says thoughts on the film Bug. Watch the verses.
It's fucking insane in the best way. It literally my favorite comment. I think I even say this in the video. My favorite comment was when they were doing a scary movie countdown on VH1 or something, or Bravo, and somebody said that when he saw Bug, he was the only one in the theater, and when he was watching it, he thought he was being punished by a higher power for something. Like, there's no way this is a real movie. This is something else entirely.
Okay, this is an interesting one. Favorite movie telling of the tale of Lizzie Borden?
I'm trying to remember if I've actually seen any of them. I've heard of at least a couple. There's the Chloe 70 one and the other one.
There was Lifetime
Seen her.
Lizzie Borden Took an Axe.
Yeah.
Lizzie with Chloe Sevigny. Yeah, The Legend of Lizzie Borden from '75. There was sort of a themed one in an episode of Supernatural, and there also was to be honest, probably the Alfred Hitchcock one. The older sister from his first Present series from like 55. That's probably like the best. Mainly because it's like one of the few that is sort of not it's they change the time span, but they also like keep it period right and whatever.
Yeah, I have not seen any of them, I don't think. You would think, being the Kristen Stewart fan that I am, I would have seen hers, but no, I haven't seen any of them.
And then Alexander Lee says hi. And that's and on that bombshell, we are done. We will be back here we're good for 6, right?
I think so.
Okay. 6 tentatively. Keep an eye on the YouTube thing in case it suddenly gets pushed back by 10 minutes every time. Or 15 minutes every time.
If it were to change, it'd probably be the same thing as today and just be 7.
Yeah. So it'd just be an hour moved.
Actually, should we just go ahead and say 7?
Yeah,
you want to do that? Go with
7 and that's easier, then yeah.
Is that good? Is that good for you, brother?
It should be.
As we dig into Kronos.
Yeah. So, and we're dealing with another hour and a half movie, so the video I wouldn't think shouldn't be that long.
Yeah. Then again, how far we'll go down the Del Toro route as well, of where it all began, sort of thing. We'll see. But yeah, thanks Alexander, I guess, for the hi. Thanks Adam Pierce for whatever that was, and thank you Spencer, Bry, and Josephine, along with everybody else that's watching on archive as well that weren't able to join us live. You can find me on Twitter at Ash is my name UK. Chris, do you want to hype up your latest adventures on the Instagrams?
Yeah, I actually haven't posted anything from Toy Hio yet. Didn't find a whole lot, but most of the funding went to the meet and greets. But I did find a cereal box, still sealed, of Batman cereal that came out in '89. I found a Taco Bell cup that has the schematics of the Batmobile from '89, and I picked up a little metal Danny DeVito toy from Batman Returns. But there will be another smallish toy hunt next Friday afternoon in Pittsburgh. I'm going with a co-worker, and we're going up to Pittsburgh to hit up a couple shops up there for some comics and toys.
And username is? I can't remember if you mentioned it.
Oh, it's at Chris Hunt's Toys.
There you go. Owen will give you updates as to what's going on with the network on his channel on the Popcast Network Twitter. AJ cannot be found on social media, and just like Keith Richards. Yes, cannot be killed by conventional weapons or something. In terms of stuff on here, verses are coming aplenty. Now that I know what the mystery flavors are, it seems more of a handy for me to do the Cadbury thing, because then I can actually go, but that doesn't taste anything like that. So we'll see. Plus, we're also getting to McDonald's ending their Monopoly thing, which means there might be a new thing, maybe, on the menu. I don't know. We'll see. So there'll be some food stuff hopefully coming from me soon. Maybe some gaming stuff if the gaming world can settle itself a bit rather than me trying to go on controversial topics. So I don't want to get the show cancelled. Well, the channel cancelled again. With that, I think that is us. Remember, as I say, Kronos tomorrow, as it's available, I think, pretty much everywhere, even if it's a purchase.
It should still be on HBO Max right now as well.
So those of you in America will be able to check it out there as well.
And of
that-
course, for any of the lucky people that have the Criterion Blu-ray, that also exists.
Yeah. With that, thanks everybody for listening, watching, smelling, hearing. I mean, if you're tasting us, I don't know what's going on. But until tomorrow, boys and girls. Ah, damn it. Dennis Stamp, you're not booked. We didn't want you here. Why are you here?